Alright. Test. Yeah, okay, we're good. We're good. We're good. Uh, I can't spell. Alright. I didn't post on Twitter. Fuck. Hang on. 2 seconds. I promise. This won't take long. I just gotta, you know. I gotta go like join the hashtag table talk. We'll take over that hashtag, I promise. Crew tonight. I can't spell. Tonight on the hashtag podcast, we are exploring more homebrew D&D. I don't know. How do you is it D&D homebrew? How do you do this in a way that isn't like the beer, you know? uh Hashtag D&D exclamation point. And we do this, then we go like this. Alright, I did it. Hey! Welcome to the podcast. Welcome as always to Table Talk Discussion and Discourse. I, as always, am your host, Alejo, aka Right on 95. And don't worry, it won't be just me. Soon, hopefully. TM. The other two will be here shortly. Well, by shortly I mean when they get here. Obviously Boo has work and Aiden is gonna be here soon, hopefully. So, don't you worry nothing about it. We'll get there. So, today is gonna be a pretty chill day, mostly because I'll be completely honest with you right now. As you can hear it, my fucking voice is shot. Because I got like 3 hours of sleep, and then I did my full day of work, and then I didn't take a nap, like an idiot. So, that's where I'm at. Pretty great. Yeah, hey Slay. Yeah, everybody tonight. It's gonna be great. Finally gonna have all the boys here, for the first time in a while. But yeah. So, let us move to comments, eh? From last time. So, we actually have 3 comments today. There we go. So, interestingly enough, we've got a contender here. Derailed Wingnut, doing a bit of a long one, which I'm very happy about. So let us read it. Here we go. This is on last week's episode, when we looked into making better traps. So, he says, I disagree with Great GM's video on traps on a lot of his points. He seems to equate them too much with puzzles, in the sense of them being something the players will get tired of having to solve, rather than being overcome. That's fair. Unless it's a big centerpiece, Saw-style trap, where there's supposed to be a puzzle solution, a trap is generally something that you can either completely avoid, via disarming, going around, etc., or you survive the after effects of. Making every trap something to be solved doesn't make sense unless you're in the lair of some mad wizard or something similar that would be making puzzle traps. On the point of going... Oh, before we get to the next point, I guess. I agree. He definitely did equate puzzles and traps. Where I agreed with him of traps can have puzzle-like elements in them, right? And puzzles can have trap-like elements in them even. You can vice versa that. But usually, not every trap requires a puzzle element. On the point of making the big bad's hideout really early, I wouldn't go beyond giving them a warning if it's something that makes sense for them to be able to do within the story. Excuse me. I wouldn't dumb down a dungeon, or dumb a dungeon down, or Hand of God force them to take another story path, if that was their choice. Sure, they might die, but it was their choice to do so. They'll either face the consequences of their actions, or maybe they'll get some extremely lucky rolls and have a hell of a story. Very true. That's fair enough. Do whatever you want, you know? Especially if they want to do it. Just let them do it. Zelda Breath of the Wild is a good example for this exact scenario. You can go fight the final boss immediately after completing the tutorial with no armor and an inventory of sticks and acorns if you want, or you can spend 90 plus hours getting the best equipment and weapons, so he's way easier. Just because it's a stupid idea doesn't mean it shouldn't be an option. And I agree. Let your players do whatever they want. Well, within reason, of course. But if they want to go fight fucking, like, I don't know, they're leveled like 3 and they're like, I want to go fight like 6 storm giants, and you can't convince them otherwise, then alright, guess they're gonna go die. It's their choice at that point. So thank you for the comment. Lux on last episode says, I guess I have a little bit to say in response to the point of criticizing things from a company you want to support. I don't really feel strongly about this, but it's going to take a few words to make my position coherent. And if you aren't aware, I was talking about this before with his other comment from the last video, or episode. My problem with how Cody did this is that he basically took the position that because he didn't personally like it or want to take the time to learn how to run it, that made it just an inherently bad system. He made a lame attempt to keep from sounding like he was saying that, but saying that it's good for people who want to power game is not exactly a high recommendation. I agree. Yeah, it wasn't great. The problem is that he just didn't think before he took his position. He seems to have went immediately on camera to justify his feelings without even taking the time about whether there could be counterpoints to what he was saying. Oh yeah, that's true. And when there were counterpoints presented, he said we didn't get it. So, you know, it's all good. Players always do a good job of screwing themselves. That's true. Yeah, you barely have to put things in front of themselves, in front of your players. They can figure it out. Anyway, it would be one thing if he hadn't claimed to have such high regard for Paizo, but he says he wants to see them succeed, yet he can't even be bothered to make sure his criticism is fair and constructive. That's just not consistent. If 2E really was such a poorly designed system, then I'd be questioning why he still thinks so highly of the company that made it. But since everything I saw indicates that Cody's criticism is just unfair, I'm saying that he created an obligation for himself to put more care into his argument, which he then did not carry out. That's fair. I agree. Oh, Aiden's ready. Okay, give me a sec. Hello.
Wait, hold on.
Oh.
It's a good intro bit, I swear.
Yep. Okay.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I am doing all right.
Good.
Very tired and have a headache forming.
Oh, nice.
I'm so tired.
Fair. Yeah.
Because it has been a long day. And as usually, I am your second host at Sneaky Adolf.
There he is.
And I bought a vehicle today.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I feel that tiredness, dude. I've only had 3 hours and I haven't slept. So,
I had 6, and then I was
you lucky bastard.
And then I was hoping for more because I knew today was going to be a busy day where we looked at vehicles.
Yeah.
And then we wound up buying one. So yeah,
Yeah. Well,
on the bright side, I am once again on the road.
yeah, I mean, that's good.
On the bad side, I got like not even 5 miles, like
Uh,
2-ish miles from the car dealership, and because I don't know where my cruise control or my high beams or anything are, I was busy looking at my steering wheel and nearly rear-ended the guy in front of me,
oh,
which
Christ.
would have been a funny twist.
That would have been kind of funny, honestly. Um, I'm glad you didn't. Jesus. Um,
but yeah, then I drove up from where I bought the vehicle to where I work,
mm,
which is like an hour journey.
mm,
And then I hung out with two of my friends and one of my friends' boyfriend, and we went to get sushi together,
nice,
which is an hour from the workplace
nice.
again.
Yep, yep,
And then we drove the hour back. So I've been on the interstate a lot today.
dude. Fair. Well, take a moment, you know, take your time. Have
Yeah.
a rest. We're just gonna be doing some homebrew stuff today, so it's not anything
Yeah.
that's too
Slazix, I see your what kind of vehicle, and I will not share exactly what kind of vehicle because I'm paranoid about being doxxed. Um, so I won't tell you exactly what kind of vehicle, but I will say it is roughly a hybrid between a sedan and an SUV.
yeah. But yeah, cool. Well, good to have you on the show again.
Uh-huh.
Been a while.
And I would also be in watch together, but when I go to the Discord channel, it says messages failed to load.
Yes, Discord's having an issue.
Here we go. Okay.
Yeah, it just give it a second. At least the voice is working, so that's really all that's necessary.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
just realized I need to change my name. Um,
okay. Um, well, don't worry, still doing comments and stuff. So we're
uh-huh.
we're only on comment 2, of 3. So we'll get there. Anyway, continuing on. Where was I? Didn't have a high regard for Paizo. Wasn't consistent. His criticism was unfair. Yes, right. So I agree. Cody's criticism was unfair when he didn't take the time to really, you know, talk about criticism and a more just personal opinion that he was putting forth that didn't have any basis.
Question,
Yes, hello.
Alejo. May I get a link to the stream
Yes.
so I can share it in a Discord server?
Yes. There you are.
Thank you.
You are welcome. So.
May or may not be the one you just joined.
Gotcha. Yeah, I haven't been doing shit because I've been fucking busy. But, you know. Anyway, so. So, it continues. Also, I'll admit that Tui probably won't suffer too much from his video, but that's only because of the external limitations on how many people are going to see the video and actually agree with it. The point of an argument is to attempt to get people who see it to agree with what you're saying. That's true. People seeing Cody's video and agreeing with them would have a negative effect on Tui's sales, and only the ineffectiveness of his argument and the limited reach of his channel mitigates that. Limited? Well, it kind of blew up, to be fair. But more because everybody was like, no, you're wrong, though. But we didn't get it, so don't worry.
But counterpoint, no.
Right. Of course, I will freely criticize most anything and only worry about whether my criticism is valid, but I never claim to give a shit about the company that made whatever it was I'm talking about. It's just business. If I like what you're making, then I'll want it to succeed. If I don't like it, then I won't be sad if you failed to make money from it and have to stop using the economy's limited resources to create it. But I would hope I can say that if my criticism sparks a backlash, I'd at least be willing to reconsider whether what I had said was as well thought out as I had initially believed. It's fair. You know what? Absolutely fair. Anyway, This point took up a lot more space than it's worth, but it would have been bouncing around in my head forever if I didn't let it out. Yeah, I feel that. Don't worry. Okay. All right, on to traps. Yes, last week we did traps. Looking at designing and making better traps. So, honestly, the main reason I would put traps in a world is the simple fact that traps would exist in a world. That's just kind of just an inherent fact. If someone doesn't want people getting into something and they don't have the time or resources to guard it actively, or they don't want to trust anyone else with the knowledge that it's there, then they might use a trap to protect it. Excuse me. Of course, this follows my mindset of trying to create an immersive world for players to exist in through their characters, and not just string together a series of set piece scenes for them to move through. So you can make a whole puzzle-style trap room for players to have to figure out how to get out of if you want. That could add some variety to the action, but it's something I would do rarely, if at all. Too much of that, and honestly, it could start to get a little old. And just like anything, really.
Actually, much like the whole, like, making puzzles and doing rarely at all, if at all. Sorry, I'm sort of, like, half paying attention because I'm reading the owner's manual to my new car. Also, I was not there for this podcast, I think. So I don't feel it's my place to weigh in. However,
I mean, you can weigh in however you want.
Semi-related to this. I've seen Cody's review of Pathfinder 2 and it was trash. However, semi-related to the whole puzzles thing, doing it rarely, if at all, one of the things that I have found is since, like, we as DMs come up with, they'll solve this puzzle via option 1, 2, 3, or 4, and they pick option 45.
Yep.
So what I just do is there are some puzzles I have thrown at my players where I do not know the answer for how it will be solved.
Sure. Yeah.
And when they come up with something and I'm like, that's feasible. Yeah, hell yeah, that would work. And afterward, they ask me, like, what was supposed to be the answer for that? Because we clearly jury-rigged effects. And I'm like, quite literally, like, traps are made to be dead ends for adventurers and spelunkers. Like, they're designed by the people who put traps and, like, false ends at, like, in a dungeon. They are meant to be a dead end.
Right.
However, you all managed to get through it using you guys' talents.
Right.
So there wasn't an answer for that, for like, oh yeah, just push this brick. It's quite literally, we have found a way around it using what we're good at.
Yeah.
And that's usually brute force.
Yeah.
I'm your third host, the one that unironically rees all the time.
Oh, he's here. Hello.
I haven't done a fucking introduction in, like, forever. So
That's true.
figured I would, do one.
No, I appreciate it.
It's fine. My opening bit was me trying to open a can and being unable to.
Yeah.
So my finger just, like, pinging a few times, and I was like, the pressure was on, and I was having a heart attack.
Just remember when we did that for the very first podcast.
Yeah, the lost, yeah. Intro. Yeah,
it was great.
It was good.
I think that was both you and me, Boo, wasn't
I
it?
think so.
Yeah.
We were both opening monsters. Or at least I was opening a monster. I don't know if you were.
That's too long ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you don't remember the first episode? You shitter!
Does
this podcast mean nothing to you?
It's a whole vehicle ago, Boo.
It's a whole vehicle ago.
And whose fault was that?
Have you ever heard of the term upgrades, people? Upgrades?
True.
Upgrades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'll have you know, I made out like a bandit on insurance.
Nice.
And I nearly got a fender bender like 2 miles from the dealership today, and quite nearly made out like a bandit again. This is just my job now. Is I
Wait.
crash cars.
Nice.
By make out like a bandit, you mean just become horribly indebted
Yeah, like
and put in jail because you can't pay?
every time the nerve damage on my arm creeps a little higher.
Wow.
And pretty soon you'll be Sylvester Stallone.
High insurance payments only matter if you pay your insurance consistently instead of just 1 month before I get in an accident again.
Right, exactly.
Oh no, my insurance is a $500 per month. Oh no! Pays once, gets payout.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Soon I'll be a quadriplegic, and I'll ask to meet the insurance adjuster and be like, hey, I know this is a really odd and specific request, but would you mind being the person to put me behind the driver's seat? And they'll be like, what the fuck? That's weird. And they're
Liability on them.
they're gonna come there. They're gonna put me in the driver's seat, and before I close the door, my last words to them will be, "You're so fucked." And then I'll close the door and I'll drive the car straight into the building.
Yeah.
You did this. You put me behind the wheel.
Oh man, that makes me think of those GTA mini games where you're like trying to
Oh,
injure
yeah,
yourself
trying
as
to
much as
injure
possible
yourself
to
as
get
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Dude. So like, there's I was talking to some friends today, and I was talking about how I got like fairly far into the buying process and had only signed 2 pieces of paper, and I was like, is this how easy it is to buy a vehicle? This is like disturbingly easy. And then they like brought out 7 things for me to sign, 2 things
Like,
for me to initial.
there we go.
Yeah.
And I was like, I breathed a sigh of relief because I was like, okay, see,
It's
now
not that easy.
when you put the paperwork in front of me, I know I'm buying a vehicle. But when it's all just vague terms and like APRs and finances getting like thrown around, and they're like, yeah, okay, so we'll lock you in for that, and like nothing's getting signed, I get nervous.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
So I was relieved when that appeared, and I told my friends about that. And my friend was like, yeah, these days it's easier to buy a gun than a vehicle.
True.
And I'm like, well, you can kill just about the same amount of people with them. I'm like, speaking of which, why didn't I drive to get us sushi tonight?
Nice.
And my friend's like, that's why, accident boy.
Hey, Mug.
Yeah.
Huzzah, my group changed to D&D to Thursday so I can start showing up. Hey.
Nice.
Sick.
Same. We also play on Thursdays.
True, we do.
Oh, okay. I play on Thursdays. You can play like every day.
Anyway,
I play or talk about D&D most nights of the week.
yeah,
More nights than I don't, in fact.
that's fair. So, getting back to comment.
Yes.
So, here we go. Also, an elaborate trap like that speaks of a villain who is a little bit on the impractical side. Maybe crazy, maybe theatrical, maybe just foolish, but from the perspective of the character creating the trap, if they want it to actually be effective at stopping adventurers, simple and dangerous is the way to go. An elaborate puzzle intentionally designed with a means of escape that a group of D&D players could be expected to figure out does not line up with an enemy who wants to kill the party. This is an entertainment device, not a weapon. One other point I would mention is that by default, I do think the purpose of a trap should be to kill. I don't mean that you as the DM should design every trap specifically to kill the party. What I mean is, in the world, the in-world character who created the trap should have designed it with intent to kill whoever set it off, unless they specifically had some other purpose for it in mind. If the point of a trap is, in fact, to stop an intruder from entering a room or to stop a thief from opening a treasure chest, and the trap does not kill whoever sets it off, then it has failed. The injured victim can still proceed to swipe the treasure or do whatever it is they were trying to do, and the trap did not stop them. There is something to be said about seriously maiming someone.
Yeah, so I was actually just thinking that, like, there's nothing wrong with, like, say it's a multi-tier dungeon.
Yeah.
Like, on the earlier levels, just have, like, a bear trap or something to, like, ward off wild animals and, like, give the idea to people, maybe I shouldn't be in here. Level 2, however, oh yeah, go for the throat.
Sure, yeah. From the DM's out-of-world perspective, the purpose of the trap could just be to soften the party up before battle, and that's fine. But in-world, its purpose was to stop someone from doing something by leaving them incapable of doing that thing. If a character springs a trap and survives, it's because the character is more powerful than whoever the trap was actually designed to deal with. And, I mean, honestly, you have to remember that all adventurers in your party are exceptional people. Exceptional. Like, they literally have the ability to cast healing spells on each other, you know? Like, I feel like more often than not, they're going to survive a trap regardless. Unless they're level 1, going into a place that has the trap that they need to make a dex, like, 20 save on, you know? Like,
yeah.
In which case, it's probably not a great place for them to be, but that's fine. So, yeah, I agree that this should be for somebody who should be stopped by the trap. And honestly, you could very well justify a lot of traps being there for that purpose, for the common folk to get out of there, or the people that maybe that have heard the tale. Well, it depends on how old the traps are. Like, if it's a dungeon for a mad lich who was around for eons and then is gone now because he was vanquished by whatever heroes from before the party existed, right? Maybe that thing is made to kill adventurers, right? Because at that point it's like, who is going to stop me but people who are just as powerful as me, you know? You just gotta look at it from the scale of whoever it is. Because if it's just some dude who's like, I want to keep my valuables safe in this vault underground, he's probably going to be making traps for some other dude, right?
Yeah, that's a very good point.
I feel like it's all a matter of perspective in that case. As long as it makes sense.
Imagine it's not really something. Well, it could be something that applies, but you can think of it like, imagine you have this dungeon and you set up a trap, but you're setting it for people, and then a fucking Ankeg or an Umber Hulk fucking digs through the wall.
Right.
Oh shit.
Yeah. What are you gonna do about that?
Yeah. What am I gonna do about this? Or I suppose if we want to use a bit more culture, it would be an amble, but we're not that cultured here.
Mog says, I don't usually use traps, I just use mimics, which, fair enough, yeah. Mimics are there to be used like that, you know?
Yeah.
Nothing like opening a chest in Dark Souls and a mimic makes you dead. Yeah, exactly. There you go.
See, the thing is, I if you use a lot of mimics, I hope that you use weird transformations. Like the mimic is a door.
Yeah,
you know,
things that mimics aren't usually seen as.
Yeah,
that's
like
fun.
you go into the room and the fucking like lamp post. That's a mimic.
Yeah. Anyway, granted, one exception could be if the trap simply triggers an alarm that summons guards to the area. Oh yeah, that too. But if the guards are going to attack the party and attempt to kill them, then the intent is still lethal. If the guards would accept a surrender, then it could be less lethal, but that depends on what the aftermath of the party being captured would be.
The first dungeon, actually, I built for my players had an alarm system in it. Just when they went there happened to not be any people sleeping where the alarm had been set up, because it was a small tripwire that activated a bell further in.
Yep.
And the people who would normally sleep in that room would hear the bell and know that someone's invading.
Right.
There just didn't happen to be any people there, and as soon as the party heard little ting 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 like further on, they like ran to the end of the hallway because they're like, we should not be here right now because we are in the kill zone of whatever is planned.
Yes.
And they rushed to the end of the hallway and would have like slaughtered everyone inside, but there happened to not be anyone there.
I bet that was even more disconcerting at the end of the hallway, like than what they expected, because you trigger a fucking trap, you hear a bell ring, and you run to where the bell rang. You're expecting to see guards and shit armoring up and getting ready to come kill you, but then there's nobody there.
Yeah.
Where are they?
Yeah, where are they? Or you go in there and there's fucking corpses of the guards, like, oh shit, what the fuck happened? You know?
Yeah.
That's fucking scary.
That would be very good. And on a final point, I actually kind of like passive perception for traps. If you would say that if you're not going to use passive perception, then you should only put traps in places where the characters should know to check for them anyway. Otherwise, if there's a risk that they could just walk across the floor of a normal room and step on a pressure plate, they now have a reason to announce that they're going to check for traps in every single room they enter. I don't know about you, but to me that just sounds tedious.
Well, it depends on if you have the player or the character that would do that.
Yes, I was gonna say, even with passive perception as a thing, some of my characters will just still look for a trap. Doesn't matter if they noticed it or not. They are careful, right? And if you're not careful, you're just not going to notice traps. And the passive perception stat, while I understand the use for it, I feel like it makes it so everyone isn't careful. Because it just promotes that whole thing of you're just going to notice the trap.
Plus, you only need one character good at passive perception, then they basically just find everything most times.
Yeah. So there was actually a post I saw on Facebook the other day.
Oh my god.
Of someone's being, I know, right? Of someone being like, if the DM is calling for perception roll, that's like a failing of the DM, and the DM needs to read the rules and know what passive perception is.
Oh my god, fuck off.
And I'm like, so first off, fuck no. Because it's my game, and if I want to ask people to roll for something, I'm going to fucking ask them to do it.
Yeah.
Secondly, that is a broadly sweeping generalizing statement of if you do this, it's bad. There are so many niche scenarios where something can happen and you go, it doesn't make sense for it to be passive perception.
Yeah.
Like there are times when passive perception can be technically more accurate. However, most of the tables that I have played with don't really care for passive perception.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about too.
Like most of people kind of want to realize that, and it's like you may have everyone in your party have different passive perception levels, and there's a monster sneaking up on them, and no one else hears it, but you know that like there's one member of the party that is the most situationally aware. And then you say, hey, you can roll me perception.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fair, actually.
Sorry, go on.
Sorry. That actually is a pretty decent way to kind of see who rolls perception, because it's the asking everybody to roll perception is kind of just a way to fuck over your own stealth, you know? Because, imagine you're sneaking into a room as a rogue and there's 20 guards. You're not going to make 20 perception checks, and if you did, the rogue is fucked.
Yeah.
There's no point because of statistics. Unless I'm playing my Dimacaron and I get a 101 out of 470 dice roll. But that's beside the point.
That's right.
Or unless I'm playing Boris.
Yes. But yeah, it would be. It's the same thing, but in reverse.
Yeah.
If I walked into a room with 20 guards, I'd still take those chances.
Honestly, with Boris, you'd probably be fine.
That's fair, yeah. So yeah, I like the idea of, instead of using passive perception, using character, right?
Yes.
That's much better to me. Plus, it also makes you think as the DM situationally who is not doing something that they are completely immersed in, right? You have people that are maybe somebody's picking the lock on the door, right? And then somebody else is like trying to figure out a way to scale up the walls to get to a window, right? And is figuring that out, while the other person maybe even is that person who doesn't like talk very much. And then you can say, hey, why don't you roll me a perception? Because you're not really doing too much right now, so just, roll me a perception. And then they could be the one who spots it, and then you can have them like maybe join in the situation where they haven't really found a way to yet. Now they can alert people that something is coming, right? Because they saw it, or they didn't, in which case,
Yeah.
Well, but like with passive perception, I think we talked about it before, like I'm good with using it for descriptions of things, like how much they'll notice when you describe a room, just off the bat. It makes it so that you don't really have to worry about them missing something crucial, I guess, if you really make it so that something is going to be hidden that well. But for something like stealth or something like that, like I don't think about it, and I don't think about passive perception much anyway, because again, you can have a 20 in passive perception with observant, and why would you ever not notice something?
Yeah.
unless
Because that's
higher.
one of the things. Sorry, that's one of the kind of things that kind of makes 5e, or that is one of the things in 5e that feels video gamey.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Also, something like a pressure plate or a tripwire strung across the floor of a hallway would be something a party could have a chance of spotting just by maintaining a passive habit of paying attention to where they're going. If a trap trigger is a more well-hidden position, like behind a door or inside a treasure chest, then you could rule that passive perception doesn't apply to it. Yeah, of course. But I think everyone would be better off if we don't set ourselves up to have to deal with a roll to detect traps every time a character walks into a new room. Your players probably won't actually do that, but I don't want to give them a reason to.
Oh, I thought they were about to say, I don't want to give them the benefit of the doubt. And I'm like,
No.
That's weird. But yeah.
No. So again, I don't see why having one person roll a die every now and again is too bad.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal.
I feel like, I don't know. It's even if you have your entire party roll every fucking time, like it's just gonna happen, and then it's gonna be done. You're gonna tell them if they see something or not. Like I guess if it's tedious for you, then I'm glad that you can use passive perception to delete that tedium away from your game. Great, that's good. I don't think that that's that tedious.
Yeah, we honestly, because the thing is, you've probably noticed it about us over the course of the podcast and Devils and Dice and all the other shit that we do. Yeah. We like to roll dice.
Yeah.
We find it fun.
Yeah.
Other people, for some reason, don't.
Sometimes,
and I don't understand. It's so fun. I like my clicky clacky math rocks.
Yes.
And that's why I own so many.
Okay, one more comment. Let's see. This was also Lux. On episode 51.
Here we go.
Well, we should stop doing accents and death of old editions. That's right.
Oh yeah. That's a long time ago.
Yeah, that was you, me, and Juice. Aiden wasn't there for that.
It was it was great.
So it says, I believe this was the last video I hadn't seen yet. So good job, everyone. We did it. We won the game 1000 XP.
Nice.
Yay.
I like XP. Actually, no, I don't. I like milestones.
And I believe this was also the first Garibay video on the channel. That's right. It was.
Was it?
Yeah. His Juice introduced him to us.
That's right. Yeah.
That's right.
And he was there for the books one. The reading and books.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I was there.
No.
Yeah, you weren't. It's a shame you weren't, because it was hilarious.
It was pretty funny. Well, I don't really consider it racist to do an accent unless you're doing it for the purpose of mocking someone. If you're just doing it because the character has that actual accent, it's not racist. Easy. Done.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Garibay is a gift. Well.
Certainly some.
Okay, so some random person might get offended. They have a right to be offended, and you have a right to decide whether you care or not. People I know and like are the ones I care enough about and not want to offend. Random strangers whose lives have nothing to do with mine and do not fall in that category.
Fuck them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um.
So that's actually like while the first part of that was being read.
Yep.
Like people have a right to be offended or not. I'm like, yes, just as I have a right to care or not.
Exactly right.
And
Then it proceeded though.
yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. Exactly. Like
I don't owe you shit.
Exactly. Like there's no reason for you to, unless you are quite literally being malicious. Like that is the only time where it's a problem.
Yeah.
Like in general, like I would like to get along with everyone.
Yeah,
I want
exactly.
to keep things civil for everyone, and I want everyone to like to feel comfortable.
Right.
But there's some people who like I once had a player who was atheistic to the point where they could like would not make a character that acknowledged the gods.
Okay.
And
Okay.
in my setting, which is the Elder Scrolls,
Right.
my campaign took place 2 years after the Oblivion Crisis,
Right.
which is to say
Uh-oh.
There you go.
2 years after two gods had a giant kaiju battle
Yeah.
in the most populous city on Earth.
Yeah.
On Nerd.
They're like, "Why are you here?" Yeah, why are you here? No, on Earth. And
wait, is it
Whoa.
no, it's Nerd.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The dimension is known as Mundus, and the planet is Nerd.
Oh god, shut up, nerd.
No.
No, you're good.
But yeah, like gods have fucking giant kaiju battle,
Yeah.
and then God appears before this character and says, "Go here and talk to this person."
Right.
And when the guards found this druid, and they were like, "Why are you here?" Because we just quelled a coup d'etat that was based in this dungeon.
Right.
And we have found you, stranger, in this dungeon. Why are you here? And they were like, the wind sent me.
I remember that.
Oh, that was this person. I remember now, yeah.
And I was like, you specifically know who the god is? And she's like, yeah, but I'm not telling that. I'm telling them the wind sent me. And I'm like, okay, have fun being interrogated.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, hello.
Did they at least understand why they were being interrogated?
Oh, they knew.
Okay, good.
Okay,
Good.
right.
Thank God.
Matter of fact, actually, the party was there and saw this happen. Saw a random person get arrested.
Yeah.
And saw the captain of the guard, who the paladin had a little bit of a thing for, drop like he was a sword saint. So like they can make blades like sing.
Yeah.
And like the lore of them is they're really fucking powerful. Like they are the only people that can set off a nuke in the lore of the Elder Scrolls.
Yeah.
And they have
Dwemer. They probably have a steam powered nuke.
and
Never realized.
The sword saints also have a stance where once they get into that stance, if you kill them, they will keep fighting.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like you can lop off their head and the body will still keep coming for you.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
I'm a chicken. Nice.
And literally only destroying the body so bad it is literally unable to move will get them to stop.
Yeah.
Nice.
But
so
he's kind of powerful. You don't fuck with him.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, the wind sent me, and he dropped a dagger through her foot and did a d20 damage.
Yeah.
D20 and a dagger?
Yeah,
Yee!
Yeah.
because I was like, how do I very quickly show to this party that this person is not to be fucked with?
Yeah.
A D20 should do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Even
How
if
much
it's
did you
just
roll?
one,
Did you roll 3?
you just roll it.
This person can probably survive a D20.
Yeah.
Maybe.
What?
Alright,
So wait a
hold-
minute. What would have happened if you fucking rolled that 20, didn't kill them, but they fucking knocked out? What would happen? They just pass out? 'Cause
If I rolled a 20, they would have objectively died.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well then, okay. What would have happened if you knocked them out? Did they just get knocked out by getting hit in the foot?
Be just shock waves like rippling
Ah, fair
throughout
enough.
the
Yeah,
body.
shock.
Like they would have stabilized her and dragged her off to the dungeons.
Right. Yeah, so I like what Slay says though. Offense is always taken, not given. And that is true. That is very true.
That's a good way to put it.
Oh yeah. Steam powered nuke, I like where this is going. Hell yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Just ask my brother. Just ask it. I'm the Skaven here, so I would know things about weird nukes.
Yeah.
Fun fact, for any of you Pathfinder fans out there,
Oh.
look up something called a dig widget.
Dig.
It was made by Dwarven Thieves Guilds,
Ooh.
and it's got
Dwarves aren't sneaky.
two like corkscrew arms
gotta
for
be if they're fucking
climbing.
exploded.
It's got like two corkscrew arms for like climbing. It's got like more or less like thieves' tools
Yeah.
inside it,
That's
and
cool.
it's just a little robot that you deploy, and it starts picking locks.
Hell
Dude,
yeah. That's how
that's
dwarves
super
are
cool.
sneaky.
Are
they
they-
make shit.
How
Hell
big
yeah.
are they? Are they big?
Like,
Like, are they like dwarf size, or are they more like a
oh
bug?
god, no, they're bigger. They're like half the size of a cat.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
cool.
okay, gotcha.
So like you can put it in your pack.
Nice.
It's just big enough to be noticeable.
Mhm. That's super cool.
Anyway, continuing on. Of course, in session 0, I'll make sure everyone has the opportunity to set their boundaries, and I will make a point of respecting those boundaries, no questions asked. If you surprise me with something later, we'll add it to the list, but I won't be very sympathetic to any dramatic outrage that you had when you had your chance and didn't take it.
Exactly.
If you remove yourself from my group under that circumstance, it's not my problem. Of course, this is a hypothetical statement, as I think most players are more reasonable than that, but people on Twitter do exist somewhere in physical space.
I have
you're right.
not had to deal with that personally, but what I have done is for every server I make for every campaign I have, I make a server on Discord. And I
He has
invite
one
everyone.
Sorry.
I technically do. No, sorry, I have two.
Oh, okay.
And then one got made irrelevant because a friend of mine made a whole section of her Discord that was D&D, and we were all like, we talk primarily on this server anyway, so I just deleted the old server. So now I do have one.
Aw. Sorry, didn't mean to drag that out.
Anyway, what was I gonna say?
Oh, you know what?
Making a
I'll be
server.
right back. Keep
Yeah.
going.
Making
Yeah.
a server for every
when-
campaign.
Yes, when I am making a campaign and I want to know like what makes people uncomfortable or not, I tell them just PM me on like Discord or like text me or something. Like you don't owe me the story of why. I just need to know the what. And if you're uncomfortable with this subject being brought up, it will never become relevant.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, continuing on. A minor point of contention I do feel like raising is that I don't really think it's accurate to refer to 5e characters as superheroes in terms of power level. They definitely qualify as heroes, and powerful ones at that, but superheroes are much more powerful. Yeah, they don't get to be that way until they're like level 20. Basically, the common thread among superheroes is that their settings can't really touch them. Even Batman, who has no superhuman powers, is pretty well beyond the reach of the Gotham police, and that's why he's able to continue operating. No, so... I guess so. I guess you're right. Anyway. In a way, I would say that if they wanted to, they could and would be able to get him, because he kind of would probably... Well, he probably wouldn't submit himself. Never mind. Now I think about it. Anyway, fuck it. You're right. Yeah. So... The similarly non-powered Darkwing Duck was once shown in a possible future having completely taken over his city and ruling it with an iron fist. I do remember that. I love Darkwing Duck. It was great. Implying that even the national military apparently hadn't been able to stop him. In short, for the most part, the only credible threat to a superhero is another super-level character. And it's generally a safe assumption that if the superheroes didn't exist within their world, that world would have been reduced to a smoking crater.
Reduced to atoms.
Indeed. D&D characters, even in 5e, aren't that powerful. If they go rogue, they can potentially do quite a bit of damage, but the setting itself is quite capable of bringing them down.
Well, unless you're a wizard, like you have ninth level spells.
That's what I was saying. At level 20, you're a superhero. Like,
yeah.
Basically. I mean, unless you then unless the gods then notice you, in which case, you're gonna be fucked.
Yeah, but then all you gotta do, again, if you're a wizard, ninth level spells, you can just wish.
Yeah, but doesn't mean that a god can't wish as well.
Yeah.
Like,
it's true.
So many times more than you.
That's fair.
Yeah, so
and
they can put you in the
I happen to also be a believer that magic does not end at 9th level.
No,
it only ends at 9th level for mortals.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Fair.
Because,
fair.
like...
Gods can cast, like, 10th through 12th level magic.
I was gonna say, because in 3.5, I know especially because I have some of the farther books and such, and I've looked into these. They had spells for literally creating islands and world, and, like, actually creation spells that were higher than 9th.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, they went super far. It was great.
Yeah, and actually, that reminds me. One of my favorite things in 4th edition is some of the shit in the Monster Manual is fucking awesome because of the different world creation mythos in 4th edition. Yeah. Because in 5th edition, it's all Faerun. Everybody knows Faerun. But in 4th edition, I believe it was Mystara.
Okay.
And the creation myth in that was that in the beginning of time, there were elemental princes of the most powerful elementals in existence, and they created all the matter in the prime material plane. The gods came along and they're like, oh shit, we want that. And so they fought the elementals. And then the gods wound up winning, and they sealed the elementals away.
Yeah.
But during the battle between the gods and elementals, a shitload of elementals and gods also died.
Yeah.
And they cast these, like, world-ending spells called apocalypse magic.
Yeah.
And these spells were so fucking powerful that they kept spinning on through the universe and eventually became fucking sentient. Yeah. So you have these super high level monsters that are living spells. It's fucking sweet, and they're dangerous as all fuck.
Good.
I can imagine.
I was gonna say, because living spells were a thing before, and they brought them back in Eberron when they re-released
nice. I didn't realize that was a thing.
Yeah, they brought them back in Eberron. They were a thing in 3.5. I know that much.
Oh, nice. Okay, I thought it was only in 4th. That was my bad.
No, you're good. It's just I didn't know of, like, I don't think they did the super powerful ones. I don't think that was a thing.
Yeah, these are like level. I want to say it's like challenge rating 22 usually.
Sure, yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like an astral dreadnought even is like fucking a pissant next to a living spell.
Yeah.
Damn.
In Forgotten Realms, Mystra banned the use of spells over 9th level. Oh, okay. They were straight up banned. Well,
okay, wait a minute.
Thanks, Mystra.
I would like to remind everyone that the word
banned and doesn't exist are different.
Oh, of course,
Yeah.
of course.
I want to know who the fuck does Mr. have like magic police? It's like, hey,
Well, I feel like because Mishra
She
is
is
literally
the
the
goddess
goddess
of
of magic. Yeah.
Yeah. She's the goddess of magic,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
I'd
I know.
imagine she'd
Yeah.
be able to
She quite
make
literally probably
a
takes the
real
weave
fucking
and
good
goes,
counter
"Nah."
spell.
Yeah.
that would be hilarious, though. Could you imagine? Like, imagine that's a campaign setting where somebody tried to cast a 10th level spell, and then Mr. was like, yeah, no, fuck you, and sent like a whole host of angels to kill a lot of fucking people
Sure.
or something.
Fun
and now it's like
fact,
this dystopia that's like anti-magic.
Yeah, that would be
I've-
cool.
I just started reading through the Pathfinder 2e Bestiary 2,
Mm.
and they have a lot of psychopomps in it. Which,
Oh, cool.
because I had a character that was more or less like purgatory personified.
Ooh.
He was a paladin who did a lot of soul magic. And hated being likened to a necromancer. Like psychopomps placed
Um,
a
that's usually
psychopomp
a
is like
Perlejo.
a psychopomp is like the Grim Reaper or Valkyries. They take
Ooh.
souls of dead things and
Uh-huh.
shepherd them to the afterlife.
Cool. I didn't know that.
So Charon from Greek mythology, and like I said, the Grim Reaper or Valkyries.
Davy Jones?
Davy Jones
think
is, I
he-
believe, just a spirit.
yeah, I was gonna
Oh,
say
okay.
I don't think he takes them to an afterlife. He takes them.
Oh, I thought he shepherded sailors to the
No.
afterlife.
No.
Oh no.
No.
Maybe you
Like-
know what? I'm probably thinking of the Disney version.
Yeah. What?
Yeah,
Even the
because
Disney
like
version
he's
of it.
more or less like Satan.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
Sailor Satan.
Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough.
I don't remember this reboot of Sailor Moon.
Mr. Limited magic to 9th level through the weave. Okay, yeah. And then for the magic police, FBI open up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
lucky for me, Mistra does not exist in my campaign. The
Mm.
god of knowledge is called Igni,
Nice.
because Igni is the verbal components of the first fire spell given to man,
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
and
Wait,
he's
you
more or
mean
less
Igni as in like the two-headed fire guy?
he's not two-headed.
No, there's a god in, I want to say, Indian or Hindu mythology
I think
that
it's
is named
Hindu.
Igni.
I believe it's Hindu, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe there is. I don't know.
I just didn't know if they essentially just co-opted him.
He's more or less a mixture between Yog-Sothoth and that Titan that brought fire to humanity in Greek mythology.
Prometheus.
Prometheus.
Prometheus, yes. Imagine a mixture of Prometheus and Yog-Sothoth.
I'd rather
and
not, but okay.
Make him a cocky as fuck librarian.
Yeah.
You
Also,
worship.
oh, go on.
You
That's an
worship him by
oxymoron.
you worship him by burning books.
Nice.
'Cause,
So wait, he loves Hitler then.
he like gets off on knowledge being sacrificed to him.
Okay.
There are like some cults that will capture an author and like every book they've ever published and will build a giant pyre of books and where he is at the top of the pyre, and
Well,
they'll
don't
burn
fucking
and they'll
don't tell him
burn
about me.
Mhm.
and they'll burn everything so that humanity has truly lost that information.
Ooh, that's spooky. So wait, why does he want to? Never mind. You know what? I won't, because we're doing a podcast here. We're just talking about this shit.
I also have like players who listen in.
Yeah. So
Hi, Chris.
first off, it's Agni. Just
Oh,
to,
Agni.
Yes.
Whoops. Yeah, that's true.
But yes, you were right, Hindu.
Yeah. I played Smite.
Right? Yeah, same. Anyway, so Where were we? Because I accidentally clicked on something. Okay, there we go. So, yeah, aren't that powerful if they go rogue? They can potentially do a lot of damage. Setting themselves capable. So even if they're smart about it and don't go full murder hobo, overthrowing the existing power structure of the world will be a struggle for them. Assuming the DM isn't just letting their players run completely roughshod over the campaign. Their success in that pursuit would require the full use of their skills, no small amount of luck, and probably, honestly, the DM doing a fair bit to make it happen for them. To put it another way, if you saw that a superhero had gone rogue and taken over the world, you probably wouldn't give it a second thought. But if you saw a 5e character taken over, so much as a local kingdom, it'd be fair to expect that a lot of shit must have gone down in the course of making that happen.
That's fair.
Very true.
That's absolutely fair.
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
still have yet to watch that look what they had to do to mimic a fraction of our power show about
Invincible?
this group. I don't know. I know a father kicks the living shit out of his son.
Think Mark Think? Yeah, that's Invincible.
Yeah, the superhero one. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
I still haven't watched it either. I want to. Seems good.
I've heard good things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
it's
only
super
heard good
fucking
things.
violent.
Yeah.
I've seen like the father like beating the living shit out of his son, and that same father beating the living shit out of some Secret Service.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like walking through a house.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like through a house.
Yep.
Yes.
Psychopomp are cool. I've used them a lot with my Pharasma cleric player. That and Ravens. Nice.
Yeah, I was Lathander Paladin.
Good evening, everyone, says Steely. Hello. Welcome,
Greetingu.
Prometheus makes me think of the passage in a 40k novel, hell yeah, where a character reminisces about a childhood book in the Imperium called Our Friend Prometheum, with 40k levels of heretic cleansing. Hell yeah. Invincible. Yes, Invincible is the show.
Yeah. So wait, is that a book written by the Salamanders?
Dude, right? That would make sense. Anyway, so, continuing on. Anyway, I guess you could still call a 5e character superhero if you're using the term loosely, but I find them to be a pretty solid distinction between the two classes in terms of overall power.
Yes.
I mean, extremely high-level characters might qualify as superheroes, but at the levels where you usually play with them, they won't. They wouldn't.
Yeah.
So that's my bugbear.
I just use the term for like general jargon, not because I'm like actually likening a 5e character to Superman.
Yeah, exactly. Now for something a bit more consequential.
Until you ask fucking what's his name, the barbarian, to tell you how to play a blank in D&D.
Tulok, the barbarian.
Tulok, yeah.
That's it, yeah.
Anyway,
I follow him on Twitter, and
I stopped.
Boy,
I stopped having the account follow him on Twitter.
To be fair, like, I may not be your best judge of quality because I also follow Donald Trump on Twitter. Or I did.
Well, I mean, you know what?
When he was
at
on
this
there,
point, that's fair.
It was
yeah,
funny.
no, I did
right
until his account was suspended, and then I literally found out about his account being suspended today, and
really?
I laughed and I laughed.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That happened when you were in your coma, I think. Actually,
It did, yeah, I think so.
But yeah, I just got sick of like just watching because it wasn't funny. That's the thing. Tulok's what he was doing wasn't funny. It was just like mean spirited most of the time.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway. So
on topic.
Yes, now for something a bit more consequential. I have to disagree with the statement that D&D as a system is super focused on combat. That seems to be how people perceive it and how they tend to use it, but the actual rules are much more broad in scope than just combat. I especially don't agree that anything non-combat has to be injected by the players. In fact, I would go as far as to call that factually wrong.
Yes.
Of course, I'm mostly going by 3.5 here, but I believe the statement was made in reference to all editions of D&D, or at least it came across that way. Oh, that's right, when we were watching that video. Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
Yes, there's a lot of space in the books dedicated to combat-oriented abilities, and it is possible to make a character that is fully optimized for combat and completely inept at anything else. But even within the PHB, there are goods and services listed. There are rules for long-distance travel, weather effects, heat and cold, starvation, suffocation, falling. There's a whole section of skills that are largely not combat-oriented. A lot more feats than people realize are not directly related to combat. More than there are.
Just be careful, because if
I
you
would
talk
just
about
say
them,
the
Cody will laugh.
majority-
True.
The majority of them are not combat related.
Yeah.
I don't have the math for that. It just doesn't feel that way.
The ones in the PHB specifically, I would say that there are a lot that feel like they are either specialized for certain classes to the point of you can't take them on most things, so it doesn't feel like they are made for general combat. Whereas most of the stuff that isn't is for anyone to use, and there's a lot of them. So
Yeah.
for the
Literally,
PHB specifically,
the number one feat that sticks out in my mind, or number one and number two feats are the actor feat.
Sure.
Is number one that allows you to mimic voices.
Sure. Yep.
And number two feat is
Took that one.
Sorry.
the one that allows you to always know what time of day it is.
Right.
Yeah, and also the direction. That is
North.
Yeah.
What? Oh, yeah.
North.
Oh yeah, north.
Yeah. Always lets you know.
What was
this?
Keen Mind? I think it was.
Yes, Keen Mind. Yep.
Yes, King Mind.
You remember as well, the entire month.
Yeah, and also be careful. Don't talk about Keen Mind, or Cody will laugh at you.
True.
'Cause he's a shitter.
Interesting questions. Do you guys think that using grid-based map systems, for example, Roll20 or just a table mat, can sometimes inspire people to think more in a combat mindset? It seems like my Theater of the Mind games have been more talky, but that might just be a coincidence.
I would say that's definitely a coincidence. Because the thing is, if I have a map and I can see where I am in relation to things, instead of it just being Theater of the Mind, I can make more educated decisions no matter the situation, whether it's combat or roleplay. Because if you have a map of a bar, that can be useful for a bar fight, but it can also be incredibly useful for, say, I want to jump on the table here and start playing my drum set.
Yeah, where's the most amount of people in this bar?
I agree that with what Boo has said, but I don't agree that it's coincidence. Because, for instance, if I'm being thrown into a battle, having a battle map is invaluable to me, because just that helps with how my brain works to know positioning and how to effectively do that. I would say it does definitively get me into more of a combat mindset, insofar as it helps me to do combat effectively, but it doesn't make me more likely to walk up to the bartender who is very friendly with the party and punch him across the face.
Right.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, sorry. Did you have anything else to say? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I would say if that's what you mean and that you're in more of a combat mindset, like you walk up to the guard who's just chatting with you and punch him across the face, then yeah, that is definitely a coincidence, and that is definitely your party, because I would never do that, and I feel comfortable in saying no one would do that.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry. Keep going.
Yeah, no, this is the last point.
Yeah, you're good.
In general, I use Theater of the Mind while role play is happening, and combat maps when combat is happening. But that's just because finding a combat map for role play can be tedious, and it can be easier to just do Theater of the Mind. So yeah.
So what I was gonna say, and what I kept accidentally interrupting you, was, you remember when we did the last session of Devils and Dice, and you guys were at the Amber Hotel and Spa? Remember
Yeah,
that?
that later turned into combat, but we still had the map.
Yes,
And
I
we
drew a
still
map
did
of the whole
roleplay.
area that demonstrated the rooms. You knew where the hot springs were. You knew where the food was, and all that stuff. You knew that there was a balcony or like a veranda there, and that map, I think, I don't know, I'll have to ask and confirm. I think that it let you guys roleplay more effectively because you knew where things were,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
and
So
Brogan
I
was
mean,
like,
I
want to
won't.
walk out here and spar instead of just sparring in the room.
Yep.
And it gave you the idea to look for a ring-a-ling-ding that you could steal.
So I won't bother to conceal the fact that the thought occurred to me to sneak up behind the woman and stab her.
Yeah.
But that's just because Boris is that person in general.
Yeah.
And I would probably do that no matter what.
Yeah.
And then it did, yes, it helped me find the ring-a-ling ding ding.
Yes.
And it also made me consider the vault.
Yes. And it also, another one was when, a long time ago, when Zeke had gotten, well, I won't spoil that one, but you were sneaking into a house.
Mhm.
And it was kind of like a ring-shaped house, and I laid out a map, but there was no combat at all. It was just a sneaking mission for you. When you were working with a champion and he was off distracting them, and you were able to go through each room and know where everything was, and it was able to help you teleport to places that were safe for you.
Yes.
So
Once I identified certain rooms as more or less safe rooms,
yeah,
I could always teleport back there if I needed.
exactly. And so if you have a map of that, it's so much easier to really what the hell was the word? Absorb. It's a lot easier to absorb that knowledge and be able to use it more efficiently than me just telling you, this is a storage room,
So I have the middling opinion here.
Okay.
Where I agree with you both.
Uh-huh.
In many respects, I think that the map itself, it depends, of course, on the people that you're playing with.
Yes.
If you pull out the map and they associate that with combat, then they're going to become more combative, I feel. It's definitely one of those things where if they see the squares and they know those are 5 feet, then they go, okay, something's gonna happen here or something. But that's an out of game kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, and that's really kind of what we're talking about anyway. But regardless of that fact, I find it also is. It depends on if you have a static map or an evolving map, I would say. Because my personal mat that I use, I can draw on. And I would use
nice.
it to draw out a thing if I need to reference things specifically if people aren't getting something when I'm using
Yes.
Theater of the Mind, right? It's not necessarily to show them that combat will happen, though it could at any time, to be fair.
Yeah.
It is there in order to, like Boo said, to give that more concrete, picture in their mind, so that you're not just telling them something that they aren't getting, or that you're making it so that they understand exactly where they are, and where things are in relation to them. Regardless of the fact that there are squares there, I feel like it really just depends on how you've set the tone, right?
Yes.
Because if I pull out my map and this is what has happened after they have done something hostile, then of course it's going to be combat, right? But if you're using it right off the bat, just using it to kind of sketch out an area or something, I feel like that's it makes it so that they're less likely to think, oh, it's just going to be combat with this map.
Yeah.
I actually, now that I think about it, I have two very relevant points.
Okay.
I think we'll be the judge of how relevant they are.
All right, fine. I think you'll agree with me.
We shall see.
That's confidence, boys.
There it is. Always have it.
So I got asked last Wednesday, like since I tend to use tabletop, if there's combat and just do theater of the mind if there's not.
Fair.
I got asked by players, will we need tabletop this session? Like,
Yep.
do we no spoilers, but do you have combat planned?
Yep,
Do I
exactly.
need to load it up and prep for it? And I told them, I'm like, I have no combat specifically planned, but if you like walk up to the captain of the guard and slap him across his face, combat's gonna happen.
I would like to add on to your point then of that before you get to your second, because my DM will do the exact same thing. We use Roll20 a bunch because it's just it's a free thing that everybody can get to, right? And it was used mainly for combat, and legitimately the same thing will happen. One of the players will say, "Are we going to use Roll20 today?" And my DM will do the exact same thing of, "Well, I don't have a plan for combat, but if you do something fucking stupid, right, then there might be,
Yeah.
When my players like ask me like, is there going to be combat, I just generally say, you tell me.
Exactly, right? Yeah, that is a
good way to put it.
absolutely the way to do it.
I did use a Roll20 like map because like in general I will load up a table in room 20, and if people want to join that table and like kind of hang out and look at a map of the continent that I set up in the side, and like stuff like that, or like I'll draw notes as they become relevant, then like, well, just like a journey line basically. You'll be traveling along this road, which you don't need the journey line, but it can help. So I made the room and I had everything set up, and I told people I was going to sketch out the cottage that they were going to, because the campaign has turned itself into a murder mystery.
Nice.
One of the players had an adopted parent that died like a month ago, and they and
Sorry.
I think what was said? I missed it.
I just said hysterical. Really quickly. I didn't mean to throw you off. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna tell her you said that.
That's fine. That's fine. I do it all the time.
So everyone was like, "Oh, let's look into Maggie's death."
Sure.
And I was like, "Okay." And I was like, "Just so you know, I will be drawing out the cottage on tabletop, and I'll be sending screenshots in the D&D channel of the Discord we're on.
Yep.
So if you want to show up live, you can see it sketched live. If you just want basically like generally what it looks like, then you can rely on the screenshot I send.
Right.
And it makes no difference which one you choose because you're getting the information no matter what.
Exactly.
But all of my players still joined as I sketched everything out, and that was an abandoned cottage.
Yeah.
Like it was set on a 5x5 grid, and I drew out like the foyer, Maggie's grave that the Kenku child had dug for their adopted mother, with their bare hands.
Nice.
They don't have hands; they've got feathers.
It was not a deep grave, but it was
okay.
It was the best that child could do. And like at the age of 12. and
Hysterical.
Young enough
They-
to work in the mines.
there was no one there, but they all were like, I knew basically there's certain clues in each of these like 3 main areas, and those were actually the areas my players gravitated towards, and
Nice.
they checked exactly what they needed to glean everything they could.
Wow.
And I
Got to
was
run Call of Cthulhu for him.
Yeah, and I was
Mm.
super proud of them and super happy. And afterward, my friend Chris was like, "Hey, did we find everything we were supposed to?" And I'm like, legitimately, like you went exactly where you had to go and searched it. Like I'm like super happy with all of you. And he's like, sick.
Did
So
you
we
give
got
them
everything.
inspiration?
I did not.
You fucker. No.
Inspiration.
They got the feeling of a job well done.
Yeah,
Yes.
I bet.
So Steely
I
said,
know I would.
In reference to the stuff, not more aggressive, more just less time spent delving into roleplay. But I have to say, it's been 3 different GMs for me: 2 Theater of the Mind and 1 with maps. So it could be GM style. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
It very much could be.
I find it's more likely gem style after
Mhm.
my
Yeah.
short little anecdote about a battle map that was done with like tons of roleplay.
Right, exactly. Hey, Pizza Funk. This is a really fascinating discussion, by the way. Well, thanks, Steely. Don't worry, we're not even done the comments yet. We
Yeah.
haven't even started the. And honestly, we're probably just gonna do
There
one
is-
video tonight. I thought we were gonna do more, but
There
they were
is
shorter.
there is plenty of time for you to get bored by the video. Don't you worry.
Anyway, so, okay, so,
Also, I find it funny I'm missing for like 4 weeks and you guys are on schedule, and then as soon as I rejoin, we're back to lagging behind.
we need.
Yeah.
Anyway, where was I? Okay, so a lot more feats, blah, blah, blah. Quite a few of the spells are utility oriented. If you're keeping one list of spells to prepare on the days when you're not expecting combat, and another list for the days when you aren't, that's a testament to magic being diverse and its usefulness and not totally combat focused. That is literally what I will do. Very cool.
Oh, really?
If you get into the DMG, you'll find rules for creating cities, tables for generating treasure for the party, to find a table showing the recommended character wealth per level, which is something a lot of DMs ignore in my experience, even though it's incredibly helpful for balancing purposes. It's because everybody's using 5e, and they don't use 3.5.
Yeah.
Aside from weapons and armor, there are a lot of magical items and that are not combat oriented. There are cursed items and intelligent items if you want to give your party a headache. The social skills themselves are more complex than is often recognized. A successful diplomacy check doesn't magically force an NPC to do what you want. It just lets you improve that character's opinion of you by 1 step at a time. So the guard.
I had a campaign once that Alejo was part of where I played a cleric, and the DM was of the a successful diplomacy check is mind control mindset,
Nice.
and there was a town that was being affected by a plague, and we found like just a very general clue, and we had been hired by the guards to find out like what
that's
caused it.
right. I remember that.
And
Yeah.
I turned in that information and was like, "Fuck you, pay me." And I guess what, bitch? I got paid.
Yeah.
Nice.
And the DM was like, "Oh, well, I guess you'll go to the other town." I'm like, "Oh no, I'm like going to solve this. I just wanted to show you how the whole like diplomacy as mind control is a bad thing to have as a DM."
Yeah.
And they're like, "No, well, you turned in the quest. There's basically nothing for you to do." And I'm like, "There's a whole mystery we can uncover."
Yeah.
They're like, "No, I'll start preparing the next town." And I'm like, okay,
It
I
was-
want to explore this one though.
Definitely under the tutelage of
Oh.
our first DM, though, who did use diplomacy as mind control for a while, to be fair.
Mm.
Yeah. and they were like, I never had the whole like diplomacy is mind control mindset. And I was like, she was like, I requested you to hold off on doing stuff like that, like big dick diplomacy, mind control for a while. And I'm like, you had a full month of me bringing this issue to your attention, and you did nothing about it. What happens now is on you.
Yeah.
Like, I was not an experienced storyteller at that time, but I still would have given her help and guidance.
Yeah.
But she preferred not to receive help, and she preferred to have her campaign ruined, and I was like, okay,
yeah.
let's do it.
Anyway, let's see. Right. So the guard goes from not really giving a shit to thinking you're pretty cool. That still doesn't mean he's necessarily going to open the gate for you just because you asked. You could try a bluff check to fool him into thinking you're one of his commanding officers, but he can still require your ID before he'll let you through if he's under strict orders. You know, some sort of writ or something. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough.
Or actually ID, depending on setting.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can try an intimidate check and make him wish he'd stay home today, and that might convince him that he doesn't get paid enough for this shit, or he might still be more afraid of his boss than he is of you. So basically, even with all these skills, it's still up to the DM if it makes sense for the NPC to do what you're trying to get them to do. If you cast Charm Person or on the guard, it makes him perceive you as his close friend. It doesn't turn him into your mind slave. That's Dominate.
That's Dominate.
Yeah. You can ask him to open the gate now, and he might do it, but he gets another will save for that. If he fails, he opens the gate, but if he succeeds, the gate stays shut, and now he's hostile. In my opinion, it would be fair to say that D&D is primarily a game about adventuring, but to say that it's a game about mostly combat is not correct. Honestly, I would say that players probably usually remove more from it than they insert.
Yes, I would be prone to say that it is not a combat-heavy role-playing system, because a role-playing system generally cannot be roleplay or combat-heavy. It is the campaign that is built in that system.
And like we always say that D&D is a combat is combat focused more so, like just because of the fact that it has that element that you can see that it is very much going into more depth for 5e at least. It goes into more depth of your combat and what you do and your skills and everything that for the combat mostly. But or sorry, not combat focused, sorry. What the fuck is the word? God, it's not focused, it's combat based, I guess, where sorry?
Weighted?
Weighted? Yeah, weighted is a better word. You know what I mean, where it has that essence that's there. Like, you can play it as just roleplay, absolutely, if you want to. But it does have that whole combat oriented, like, everything there for you to also use, and it is very much a prominent thing, right?
Yeah, it's a big part of the game.
Yes.
I am still of the mind that it's not combat weighted or roleplay weighted. It simply is what it is, and the campaign is the primary determiner of how the edition feels.
Right, and
however,
I agree. Okay.
I will gladly acknowledge that if you're doing all roleplay or all combat, it does feel like the other part is missing.
Yes. And like the system itself, like if you don't do any combat, then I feel like it's like, why use that system in that case?
Exactly.
Right? Which like if you want to, absolutely go for it, right? But if you don't include that part of it, it's like half of the shit that you have in there is not even useful.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
why even does the fighter exist?
Yes, exactly. Like why are you using this as a class-based roleplay system when you could be using just a pure roleplay skill-based or just pure roleplay in general? Like if you have no interest in it, why would you like use a thing that uses it? You know?
Yeah.
But anyway. If the counter to this argument is that all these rules stifle your creativity, then I don't know what to tell you. Are you saying the optimal system for roleplay is no rules? If that's the case, then no system is going to be better for you than just freestyling it. Well, no, literally just like
freestyle.
Yeah. And the only point of any game would just be to give you a non-arbitrary way to resolve combat. In any case, the whole point of these rules is just to give you the basics for deciding what actions will work out favorably and what won't, without relying on a DM's arbitrary decision. It lets you make informed decisions by telling you what likely outcomes you can expect. So I don't agree with that a less rules-heavy system is better for people who prefer non-combat RP. Such a system is better if you want to play a simpler game while placing more trust in the DM to make fair and reasonable decisions on the outcome of whatever you try to do, and that can apply to both social RP and combat. If you want a life sim, more rules just means more tools for figuring out what your characters are going to need to do and how well it works out for them. If you don't want to use a particular rule, you can ignore it, but every tool you have at your disposal is an advantage for you. Of course, if the argument is still that rules complicate things and a rules-light system allows more freedom to roleplay, then I'm not sure what advantage a rules-light system has over freestyle. I recognize that tabletop gamers would generally prefer a rules-light system over no system, and I feel inclined to agree with that preference as far as tabletop is concerned, but I don't know why that is. I definitely found freestyle to work better for forum play because you can just organically describe what happens as you go instead of waiting for dice results and trying to fit your descriptive writing around a limited range of player actions. But for a tabletop, the idea of no system just kind of feels like you're trying to prop your flesh up without a skeleton.
That's a fucking weird way to put it.
I like it. I'm not sure if that makes sense, and it probably doesn't, because I should have been asleep 3 hours ago. Good night. Good night, Lux.
Coward.
Thank you for the comment. Would you say it depends on the edition? I know in the 3.5 DMG, it says the game is designed around a battle mat. I'm not sure about the other editions, but I assume that is not the case for all of them. So here's
definitely
the
not
thing.
all of them.
Here's the thing. What I would say is, first, just from the basis of D&D to maybe a little bit into 2E, I would say it is more designed around dungeon crawling and all that kind of stuff. Because that was the focus, it felt. Like, you can still make it roleplay and shit, but it felt like it was more combat focused. It really did. To me, at least. I don't know. But with 3.5, with the feats and everything that allowed you to have those options in front of you, of, like, these things are purely for roleplay, you know? It really made it so you had that, like, idea, at least in my head, of, like, okay, so it's not just combat, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just how it felt to me when I played 2E for the few, like, months that I played it.
Yeah.
It felt really much more about going and finding fights, you know? But then
and
again,
I imagine
it
that
could
probably hails from chainmail.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's what I'm thinking. But it also could be because, like, the person who was running it made it more about fights. And then when we RP'd, it just felt like we were, like, not doing anything because he wasn't accounting for that, you know? As much as what we were doing. So again, I guess I'm more inclined to agree with Aiden's perspective on it being more just how the campaign is than really the systems.
Yeah, because the system, you can do whatever you want with the system.
Yeah,
in most cases.
Yeah. Steely says, I actually am not entirely in agreement that players prefer rules light. Sometimes rules are actually a form of assurance to players that the world is going to operate in a certain way, and that the GM is not going to radically depart from those baseline expectations without discussing first. I would agree.
Yes.
So, I would say, people think that something like 5e is rules light. I think
In
that's
some cases it is, in some cases it's not.
exactly. I think that the perception is because of 5e's streamlinedness that they go, this is rules light.
Yeah. Streamlining is not rules light.
Right, exactly. I don't think it's rules light. I think it's just rules. I
Yeah.
don't think it's rules heavy either. Again, it's in the middle there. It is fine. There are some things that I wish were in there. There are some things that are not in there that don't need to be, like it's fine.
Yeah.
But I think rules light is looked at as this nirvana that you can achieve, right? Where it's something that is perfect for everything.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, it's fine. It can be, sure, if you want it to be.
Yeah.
That's fine. But I don't think it's inherently that way.
Agreed.
But anyway, hey, you guys want to start the actual episode?
I don't know. I'm painting my hive guard. I might just leave.
That's fair. So, today we were gonna talk about some homebrew, but then we started talking about everything else. So, we're probably gonna do a single video, and I'll let you guys choose. Actually, so there's the one. No, that's not a choice.
Garabay is always a choice.
It's no, not in this case. Sorry. So we have the one that's right in front of you that is no more initiative. Then there is, let me find the others that I have here. There is mod your TTRPG level up mid action. And then there's 27 homebrew rule ideas for 5e. This one right here is 11 minutes. The level up mid action is 7 minutes, 7.5. And then the 27 homebrew rule ideas is 11 minutes as well.
Let's do the 7, and if we have time, the 11. But I am very curious of the 27 ideas one.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start there then. Let me pull that up. Because I was very interested when I saw this title.
Yeah. I'm very curious about that no more initiative thing.
Yeah.
Like, they don't use initiative in Pathfinder 2e. It's all perception.
That is initiative. That is your initiative roll.
Yes, I know. But your initiative roll is the perception.
Yes.
Like,
but what he's saying is they remove any roll for initiative, period.
No,
yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because it's like everyone's kind of looking at each other and eyeing each other up, and as soon as you can tell someone's reaching for their pistol, you all draw yours as well. So
Sure.
like, I get having perception as initiative.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and Pathfinder also has it so that you can have other things be used as initiative as well, like other skills, depending on the situation.
Yeah, I did not know that.
Yes, it really just depends on what your DM will allow. Because like I remember seeing somebody posted something of like the cleric's the only one who can roll initiative when the rogue has done something to really anger the celestial in front of them. Right.
Yeah.
But it's just how it is. Anyway, so this is mod your TTRPG.
How the fuck am I supposed to tell if a celestial is trilling and tooting in front of me because they're unknown cosmic beings?
Right.
Unless they're not unknown cosmic beings.
Right.
That if the toot it just gave was a half note lower than the toot rate before, and that means he's pissed.
Right, exactly. So yeah, this is mod your TTRPG level up mid action homebrew DM advice, brought to us by it's not showing on there, so it's brought to us by a channel called DM Table, a smaller channel, only 200 subs. So let's see. You got some production value.
So, we're gonna mod our tabletop. Like if we modded a game or our browser. Doesn't matter what the system is or will be, we'll make this work. Welcome, adventurers and friends. I'm M. Welcome to the DM table. Now, today's tabletop role-playing mod will be leveling mid-combat. So let's explain it. First, for this to work, we'll need to be giving out levels in a milestone fashion, where DM decides when a good threshold of achievement or story has been reached for a level up for adventurers. And that's what we'll use to spark our next situation that gives us new opportunities, which is leveling up mid-combat.
Sure.
Now, usually this is avoided because of proceedings of this level up being something best left for after the session and stuff like that. Or before the session, as the case may be. But there is...
I was gonna say, my first contention with this idea is the fact that we then have to sit down and we have to level up in the middle of a combat.
Yeah,
You know?
unless the only way I could see it working is if you tend to go with the average with health, and you essentially tell your players, hey, you're going to level up in the middle of this fight, so go ahead and like choose what you want like before the session starts.
And that itself lends me to go, why would you tell them they're going to level up in the middle of the fight? That seems like it takes something out of it, you know?
Yeah. So,
Yeah. So I have told my players before, like, back actually when they became level 3, I told them that, or I told them at the beginning of the campaign that they were going to go through levels 1 to 3 very quickly.
Sure.
And levels 4 and 5 were going to take longer to get to sort of make up for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I told the players, because they were hunting for a specific monster, I was like, this monster is clearly meant to be a boss encounter. You're all smart enough, you can figure that out, no problem. You are going to level up after you kill it. If you kill it, if you still have a character, just have level 3 ready. And all the players were like, okay. And one person nearly died, but every person leveled up. I said, all right, go ahead and switch to your level 3 sheets. And then we just kept going.
Yeah,
fair enough.
If you do that beforehand in that way, it's like, you're not doing technically like mid-fight. You're doing it after the fight is done, after they've achieved it.
Yeah.
Which
it was done during the long rest.
Yes, exactly. Which I then go, okay, that's fine. That's a long rest. They're leveled up. That's fine. Even during then, I'd be like, okay, if we want to just take some time to do it. My thing is like, unless you have that time, right? You only have a certain amount of time to do your session, unless you're, meeting up and going for like 5 hours every day, like, or however long you want, if you have that luxury.
If only.
God, I would die. But you usually have a specific allotted time, and you don't really want to waste that by, leveling up in the middle of the time where you're supposed to be, I don't know, playing the game.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That is why I had, like, as soon as they got to an inn, basically they leveled up.
Yeah,
because I was like, you're all resting for the night anyway, go ahead, grab your next level sheets, basically, and we can get back to action without having to wait too long.
Yeah,
actually, that's that would be a really interesting way to do it. Like, imagine if you have, it would take a lot of prep work, but imagine you start a campaign at, let's say, level 5. I don't know.
Sure.
Then, as you're making your character, you just continue to make separate sheets for each level.
Oh, sure.
That'd be interesting. So that way you could just be like, okay, level up, bam, done.
Right, and like I like the idea of doing that in the sense of what Aiden is doing or had done, in the sense of like, you guys, if you actually do this, because you're on this path, if you actually do this, you will level up. So
Yeah.
like have that prepared beforehand, because like that's just gonna happen because this is the milestone, right? Like
this
because
is
this is a significant event, right? And that's fine. I'd I rather that than us going through the entire minutia in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But anyway, let's see how he actually intends to make this work.
Exactly. But before that, hold on. Steely said, in reference to initiative for Pathfinder, right, for example, if a rogue uses deception or stealth for initiative, then enemies they are ahead of in initiative are flat-footed to the rogue for 1 round. That's a surprise attack ability. And also, you could always do a partial level up, where they only get increases in basics like health and to hit, etc. Which... you would, yeah, you could, but then they couldn't use their new abilities and stuff, and it doesn't, I don't know, man, it just feels weird to me, but
Yeah.
I'm willing to see if it works in this instance, so let's see.
Some use to be having from having an option to level them up mid-combat, and not just them, but we'll get to that in a moment. You see, then, there is an epic battle that is something that should be going well, because players did rather well, and they are having great ideas, and they're doing exceedingly well with their tactics and their ideas, their mind, their performance, their role-playing well. You love how they're doing, but the dice won't have them, or it's not their day, the enemy just is overbalanced, you did something wrong or something like that. And you're one of those fair DMs, like I am, that doesn't fudge. But don't worry, I'm a sort of person that's capable of finding new paths on how players can have a nice game that's sort of a little bit lethal, but mostly not, without fudging, because we don't need fudging for dramatic purposes. We need dramatic solutions to avoid fudging, so that the people feel that they naturally achieved things which they naturally achieved. So, here we have a form of reward. When players are doing extremely well, and they're close to a level, you don't need to wait. You can have them level up mid-combat. Now, this isn't Diablo, so you won't be refilling their HP and spells and whatnot, but get from level up they can use. So their HP increases a bit. So now they have, say, 5 HP more or something, depending on what they're playing. And they might have 1 new spell slot, a new spell or something like that. And those, you can consider that they can be filled. One of them, not all of their spells. They haven't rested, they haven't slept, they haven't memorized, they haven't done what they usually do. This might depend on system, but indeed. You can have them have what they would be able to have from a higher level. The difference. And that difference can make a difference if everybody suddenly gains new abilities. And this is also important. New class abilities, new things are happening now. Even in a different classless system, new abilities are now happening that your players can use suddenly versus this strong and powerful and epic enemy. And imagine how great this battle becomes when this happens.
Okay, so I can imagine things all I want. So unless you've done this beforehand, where you like, and this is why I agree that this is would only work in the milestone system. You have to plan out beforehand that this is where they're going to be leveling. You have to make sure that they get to this point. And it also makes it feel, and not to disparage anime, but very anime. To a very stereotypical sense, not a
It really is.
Yes.
This is basically Goku awakening Ultra Instinct.
Yes, exactly. And like, I understand the idea of feeling really cool and epic in the moment, but I also enjoy, I don't know, a sense of realism during this, because like, sure, maybe they've been practicing how to, I don't know, cast this new spell that's, you know, that they're working towards for their next level if they're a wizard, right? Like, you get your 2 free wizard spells, or 1, I don't remember, but you get to that point where now you can use it, but how did you, in this battle at this moment, now you are able to use it because you understand that this is the time to use it?
Well, see, here's the thing, Alejo.
Aha.
Anime.
Right, anime.
And all of a sudden, bam! I know how it works because I just got,
Because I got
concussed
punched
by this
in the
Minotaur's
face.
hammer.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of two minds.
Sure.
Okay.
Which is not to say they conflict. I just kind of have two
Brains.
thoughts to mention.
Sure.
Or two brains, maybe. Maybe each
Ooh.
brain made one thought. Who knows? You don't.
Yeah.
Um
Not even you know.
yeah. One of the side effects of hitting the side of my vehicle so hard with my head was my left half of my brain and my right half of my brain basically like tore apart.
Nice.
And part of healing from this brain injury is my brain restitching itself.
So you're an
Um,
Etten, is what you're telling me.
Basically.
Cool.
Okay.
Basically what I'm telling you. So
Anyway.
Anyway, the first of which is you say this can only be done in a milestone setting, but I would argue that I can see it more easily happening in an XP scenario where
True.
like you're all 130 points away from a level up
Sure.
and you kill a monster that's worth 1,000 XP.
Sure.
Like I can
That's not
very
mid-combat, that's after the combat. Or are you
if-
saying if
if
we're
you're
if we're in a
award-
combat
if
with more
you're-
than one thing?
yeah, if
Okay.
you're in a combat of like say 5 knights and you kill one and he's worth 1,000 XP,
Sure.
and your DM doesn't do the thing where he hands out XP after the fight,
Right.
he does it so you gain XP for a level up mid-fight,
That feels
and
very jarring to me.
Yeah.
yeah,
But I mean, it is still
and
something
It
that
is something you could do.
be.
You're right. Absolutely.
yeah, it is something that can technically happen.
Mhm.
It's possible, theoretically.
However, in relation to the whole that feels very jarring, that acts as a perfect segue into my next idea,
Fantastic.
which is if you're going to do this milestone leveling, you knew that they were going to level up mid-combat.
Right.
And specifically designed it to be such that they leveled up exactly then.
Right.
Not at the beginning of the session before combat, not at the end of the combat. You decided round 2 of combat, that's the time to level up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, this works perfectly.
Sure.
And combat, depending on your table, leveling up can be very easy, very quick, done like no problem. If you have a bunch of newer players who are hitting an important like level 3 where they you pick your subclass and your player's going, I don't know what to pick, what does each one do?
Yep.
And now you have to describe what each one does. Like,
yes,
that the round 2 of combat is not a very thematic or very tense way to handle combat.
No.
Yeah.
Leveling up mid combat is just kind of bad. Sure, your mileage may vary because it works and some tables can have fun with it.
Sure.
I would be of the mind that most don't. But you can do it. But
God have mercy on your soul
Mm.
and that of your players.
The Emperor will not be kind.
I would just do it during a long rest after the end of combat.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
It's so much simpler. Like and it's a base rule too. You don't even need to mod your TTRPG.
Yeah, exactly.
And
that's just how leveling up works.
Yeah.
However, if the BBEG, like, if it's thematic,
The
Sure.
bag?
if it's thematic and can work for like leveling up to your last level
Sure.
during the BBEG fight, I can give it a bit of a pass.
Sure.
It's just if I'm defeating a bunch of bandits or wolves,
Yeah.
and I level up mid combat, I'm like, no. But if I'm facing down a lich in his hall
Yeah.
and I'm about ready to wrestle it to the ground,
Right.
Fuck you.
and I level up right beforehand, that can feel good.
Right.
Yeah.
And like that's why he's saying for your, big epic fight to do this, right? Which
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, fair enough, I guess. But also, yeah, like you said, I don't know why, like, unless it is quite literally only in that situation. And
Said it.
and also I think the stream went down for a second, by the way. I don't know. Let me know if you're still able to hear us. I think it's still going. I think we're good because my thing is still green, but
I'm still able to hear you.
We dropped.
Yeah, same.
Thank you. We dropped like 800 frames, and so I'm just worried.
Oh.
Anyway, so the what was I gonna say? The only times, like you said, where I can see this happening is something where it's like the final boss to get to your last level, right?
Yeah.
Why not just get them to the last level so they can fight the final boss, right?
Yeah.
At their highest peak of where they're going to be for your campaign. Like there's I don't see the reason why this is going to be in the middle of that fight, because why would you deny them the fact, even with the example that he's given, why would you deny them the fact of getting their health up, getting their spells, like preparing them, like knowing what they can do,
Yeah.
instead of giving them some of the things while they're mid-fight? It's like, sure, it could feel awesome, but also it could feel more awesome to have Meteor Swarm, like, and use it, right?
Yeah, like you walk in and you push the doors open knowing like I've got a trump card.
Yeah,
basically.
exactly. I am the most powerful I can be, and I've prepared myself for this situation, and I know what I can do. Whereas I'm in the middle of the fight. What are these new things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes from I've spent my entire life training for this moment to wait, that was lucky.
Yes, exactly. It really diminishes it because it's like, oh, thank God I leveled up.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
It reminds me of like Paper Mario, where you can level up in combat and it fucking heals you.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no.
No.
No, it wasn't Paper Mario. What the hell was it?
Yeah. Wait,
Yeah,
what?
It wasn't Paper Mario. What
I
was
thought
it?
it was.
No.
It's not. You level up after combat. You only get star points.
Yeah.
What the
Yeah.
hell was it? I
Are
don't
you thinking
remember. Never
of
mind.
Super Mario RPG? Because I don't remember if that.
I don't remember, but I just remember a game where it was a big deal to level up in the middle of combat because it can heal you.
There are a lot of games like that, to be fair.
Yeah.
Which most of the ones that I can think of do it in a way where it's like it's fine because it's like the game's hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Where I'm like, okay.
So I just thought of something, and I'm kind of embarrassed that none of us have said it before now. Alejo, you kind of mentioned it,
Okay.
with the whole having spells sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
But leveling up mid combat ignores the whole story aspect and roleplay aspect to what leveling up is.
Yeah, that's what I was saying with the whole your wizard now apparently knows how to use the spell that he's been trying to figure out in the very middle of this fight when he got punched in the face.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's like okay.
Or
But
a
yeah,
monk. Suddenly, I just happen to know this new martial arts technique, and I know exactly how to do it.
Exactly, and I super agree. Like, it takes away that feeling of, like, even if you're in the middle of your story, like your personal story, it might not be the same for every player, but you might be saying, like, every day I train and I am trying to learn this new technique because that's what I'm going to get, right, when I level up. And I'm perfecting this. And, like, mid-combat, you probably, I don't know, maybe if it's the most desperate
Are not
time.
actively training.
Yeah, you're not actively
Yeah.
training, and maybe if it's the most desperate move that you can do, you go, okay, I'm going to try this thing, and then maybe it'll work because I've practiced enough to use it in this moment. But that's
Also-
not what leveling up does. Leveling up just goes,
Yeah.
you can now use it,
Yeah.
right?
There's one other thing that that I would like to mention, since you guys have both had something I have to feel included.
Okay.
I am you guys, I think you know this about me. I'm a DM who does fudge occasionally. I don't fudge like I don't fudge that often, but I do fudge.
Okay.
Um,
That is your DMing style and is on you to choose.
Yeah.
exactly.
Don't give a fuck.
So I am a DM who will fudge.
Okay.
And I have to say, for I understand the people that don't like fudging, and that's fair, But going through all this, modding your whole game to allow a player to level up in the middle of combat,
Seems
just
incredibly niche and a waste of time.
Yeah,
Yes.
when it's as simple as just saying, yeah, they're having a rough day. Let's let that guy not nat 20 on the entire group and instantly wipe them out in the first turn of combat. Let's not do that.
Sure, you could do it that way, or you could, I don't know, give them the level beforehand.
Exactly.
Or
like
give
it
them-
seems like,
like-
way too much work
Yeah.
to
We
have-
solve such a tiny problem.
Yeah.
To quote Patrick Starr, SpongeBob, we're not cavemen. We have technology.
True.
Yes.
That's true. I like what Pizza Funk says here. Leveling up is kind of a time to reflect. I don't think leveling up during combat is a good idea unless said combat took multiple sessions and you leveled up between sessions. I like the idea of it is a time to reflect. It's a time for you to then realize where your
Modify your
character's
thoughts.
yeah, where your character's going and all that kind of stuff. Leveling up is also a bunch of decisions, dude. I don't want to have to make these decisions right now in the moment where I'm kind of in combat and now I can kind of metagame
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
it's
that's another thing.
especially with giving me a spell, right? If I'm a wizard in this situation, if I don't know haste or slow, and that would be really useful right the fuck now, I'm taking it. You know? What? I know I don't want to metagame, but at the same time, everybody's dying.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. I am a fighter. Why should I take the ability that lets me swing my sword in a circle when there's the Lich who is flying overhead
Right.
and is casting spells, and I can cast something, or I can use a battle art that lets me diminish that.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Right? It's really, I don't know. It sucks,
Yeah.
I think. Also, Steely says there's more than one game like that, but I forget them now. In reference to the leveling up.
Yeah,
and
the
healing
leveling
thing.
up.
Yeah. So anyway, maybe there's more to this. I don't know, because right now I'm just hearing a lot of feeling talk, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember that guy who talked about a whole bunch of shit and then was like, I mean, you could do this.
Yes.
You don't have to.
Yes.
I remember that. That was funny.
In general, I would be prone to agree that choosing to level up in this manner
Sure.
is taking the premeditated milestone approach of let me just level up my characters during the thematically and story-wise worst possible time.
Yeah.
Let me just do that.
Exactly. Right? That's what it feels like to me, though. If it works for you and your table, fucking go for it.
Yeah,
Don't listen to us.
If it helps you have more fun, go for it.
I don't
It's
give a
your
shit.
game, not mine.
Yeah.
I don't own D&D
No,
5e.
exactly.
And
we're
even
just here
if
to-
we did, we would be like,
even
know,
if
hey,
we did, we wouldn't be
Even
doing
if
this
I did,
podcast.
I would say sure, go for it.
Right,
if it
yeah.
helps you have fun, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
I
silently
disagree.
judging them from a mile away.
Yeah,
But,
like-
you know.
I
Hey,
disagree
we're allowed to
with you, but-
judge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I disagree with you, but if that's what you want, you go ahead and
There's
go for it.
there's literally nothing I can do to stop you, right? Like if you get persuaded by me not like enjoying that and also saying that I wouldn't do it, then that's on you. I'm glad that I persuaded you, I guess. Like it's not
I mean,
Yeah,
I
I would rather persuade you with the merits of my argument
Yeah.
than you being easily impressionable.
exactly.
Hmm.
But that's just me.
Right.
But we are not in the business of yum yucking.
Yeah, exactly.
I like to
If
eat.
if that is your yum and you're having fun, all right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit.
Not for me, but okay.
Yeah, fine.
At the end of the day, if somebody were to like write in and go, "Fuck you guys, like you say that these things are bad," and I love them, I'd go, "Okay,
Yeah, cool. Good.
cool."
Yeah. Neat.
Like, there's literally like there's nothing. So anyway, take us
Yeah,
with a
we're gonna
grain
get-
of whatever. I don't give a shit.
With a single grain of rice.
Yeah,
Uh,
it'll expand in your stomach.
but yeah, like I
You'll
said,
die.
this is choosing the worst possible outcome for yourself and then
Yeah.
saying, guys, I have a new homebrew rule for you.
Yeah.
And your players are now able to do that classical dramatic overturn with feeling new power surge through them in the middle of combat from their experiences
Anime.
days on end in combats like this that is nearly taking their lives away. You know, having what to
Anime.
protect, who to fight, what to do, and then they
Yeah, anime.
realize how to use their new power and overcome things and save the day. Isn't that great? This
What
is
a
what
great
is
quote.
at the heart of this mod, and
And again, like this is just a bunch of fancy flowery words for
Yes.
I'm
I like
fudging.
this. Well, I like this, and I'm gonna.
Well,
you should
here's
like it.
again. It's like because again he mentioned that it's really only, at least in his version, it's only doable with milestone. You're choosing to level them up there, so
Yeah.
it's still fudging.
I wouldn't call
It's
it
just
fudging.
different words.
I wouldn't call
Yeah,
it fudging.
I wouldn't call it fudging.
Really?
Fudging is-
Because
yeah.
you're okay. So why do you think it's not fudging?
Because fudging
here
is,
you are.
fudging is the active.
Fudging is impromptu, and this was clearly premeditated.
Yes, exactly.
But
it is.
But
in
the
the
thing
moment.
is, you can't predict when you're. Oh well, okay. I
Yeah,
suppose
you
if you
can.
have a boss fight,
Yeah.
then yes. But I mean,
That's-
you're
and
still
again,
coming in
remember-
and saying, "Hey, they need the help, so I'm gonna go ahead and do this thing."
So this is the thing. Maybe it is the help. Maybe it isn't. It really depends on your motive at that time. But that's an assumption, right?
That's true.
Because again, this is being said and set for us as this is happening during the epic big fight, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
so
true. That's very
you're
true.
always going to be doing it. Or at least it seems like, at least with the proposition here, you're always going to be doing it when that big fight is happening. So you know when it's at half health, that's when they can level up, right? Like, or whatever.
That's so weird.
It's very
Yeah.
much premeditated.
So, also, like I was going to mention this earlier, but forgot. I said I would give it like a begrudging, like fine,
Sure.
if it were done for the BBEG.
Mhm.
And he says he would do this for an epic fight. An epic fight does not equal the BBEG.
Nope.
Exactly.
It doesn't.
It's that can be this the centipedes at the mansion.
Sure.
Like
It's just
instead
whatever
of
the it's whatever the DM decides at that
a
point.
particularly hard or lethal fight
has decided.
can gain the descriptor epic.
Yeah, exactly.
What'd you say, Leo? Did you say my name?
Huh? No.
Oh, okay. I thought you said something boo.
No. I was saying it's whatever the DM is
Whatever
decided,
the DM wants to do.
Yeah, has decided what epic means for them at that for that fight, you know.
Yeah.
They might find it epic. Do the players? I don't know. Like
A player has
Hopefully.
to look. A player has to look up from their phone for it to be epic.
Nah.
Then Mugzir says, or you have a DBZ moment where Vegeta sees you just got a new power but never got a chance never got a chance to master the ability and still schools you on being weaker. Sure. And then Pizza Punk says he's guilty of premeditated fudging. I like that.
Indeed, rule, and we can have this, and it won't be disbalanced in any way anywhere, and it can happen even when they're not in mortal danger.
Okay,
Sometimes
well,
they
okay,
can just,
now we've
Now you
established
just
the
shot
precedent.
yourself in the foot.
Like, now
Wait.
we've established that it can be anytime and not just in mortal danger. Okay. Alright. So, whenever you really feel like having it happen.
That was the assumption that I had thought. Wait, hold on. Did he say they can level up in any combat? Even
Yes.
Yes. So I was right.
So it is premeditated fudging. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. You're right. I thought. Okay.
It is quite literally Deus Ex Machina.
Yes.
Yes. So
Yes.
again, this is I
You're right.
reiterate my statement. This is basically just a bunch of fancy words for a different kind of fudging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
feel their new power and make a slaughterhouse out of common enemies. Suddenly, that'll make for a very cool moment, and
Would it?
you
Just use minions if you want that. Just
yeah,
use
I fucking
minions.
did it and it worked.
Yeah, just do whatever you want at that point. Like I don't, whatever.
Whatever.
will have very happy players. Then again, there's the opposite. You
Or
can
you level
have,
down in combat.
Sort of multiple forms of enemies just by them leveling up mid-combat when they're pressured enough and they're doing well, like players
it's not
would,
them
then-
leveling up. It's just how you've made the fight.
So
it's just
so,
a phase in a fight.
Yeah.
so I have two thoughts on this.
Okay.
Okay.
The first is I did the whole minions thing,
Yeah.
except I did it in a fight where the players took down a false Hydra.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
the
yeah,
false Hydra had everyone basically in the slums of the city under its mind control spell. And they had commanded it to like dig a hole with their bare hands and like excavate its body out
Right.
of the sewers
Mm.
and put it on their shoulders and start like marching it out
Right.
of the city and like into the main part of the city.
Mhm.
And what I did was, as people were trying to fend off the people under the mind control, while also like do consistent damage to the false Hydra. I had it if you were trying to kill civilians, like you are a high enough level, go ahead and roll damage as normal. That's how many people you cleave through.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's a bit ridiculous if you think about it, like the paladin cleaved through 7 people.
Sure.
But it's like the paladin's significantly higher level.
I was gonna say
Like,
it makes
yeah.
sense to me.
It's not as much of a stretch to imagine that they can cut people, like essentially mind zombies down,
Yeah.
like no problem.
Yeah. Exactly.
And what was the second point? I forget what the second point was.
Okay.
What was he saying?
He was saying leveling your big bad to have multiple forms. Yeah.
Yes. I would be totally okay with this if you also make it so enemies can level up mid combat. If they
God,
down
that'd be hard to keep track of. Fuck.
if they down a PC, every single enemy has their AC and their HP go up by 2.
Yee.
Sure.
That'd be spooky.
I'm not a fan of it, but sure if you want to do it. You know.
No, trust me, I'm not a fan of it
Oh,
either.
okay. So you'd be okay with it. You're not a fan of it. I understand.
Like from a sheer spite perspective,
Sure.
I am very not okay with leveling up mid combat,
Yeah.
but like the part that would bring me back to a begrudging okay
Sure.
is if monsters also level up in
Yeah.
combat.
No. At that point, I'm like, why? What's the point? You know.
Yeah.
If you want to go full anime,
Just
guess
play Big
what?
Eyes, Small Eyes.
The BBEG a lich floating in the middle of his hall shooting spells at you can also scream and remember his childhood friend.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
shit.
Right. You're fucked now, bitch.
Yeah,
Um,
goddamn.
He'll remember his childhood crush as you're trying to wrestle him to the ground.
yeah,
Mhm.
and that you killed her.
Yes, that was how it happened.
Yep, that was it. Mog says, "You thought this was the full extent of my power?" Levels up real quick. Behold my true power.
Hell yeah. So that's
it.
how Frieza kept fucking powering up. He was just
Yeah.
leveling up.
Exactly. dude.
Bastard.
Okay. Again, like, there's no point to calling it leveling. There's no point to modding this. Just make your enemy your epic fight, whatever. Just make it have multiple forms. Just make it so that when it gets to a certain threshold, it starts doing these moves. Like,
Yeah. Hey,
Hey.
guys.
it's not.
Did you know that in 4th edition, when a monster or creature reaches half HP, they're considered bloodied?
That's
and
right.
often they get new abilities.
Yeah, that's right.
So there's literally fucking baked into 4th edition.
Yep. But nobody remembers that, so don't worry about it.
And nobody remembers that.
Pizza Fuck says this isn't even my final form.
Yeah,
Exactly. Anyway, let's see.
I know, Pizza Funk.
They have deserved it. Enemies can level mid-combat too, and this is all there, fair and square. So you can tell players ahead of time that this is a rule and that they and enemies will be having it. So when
Sure,
it
if you do
happens,
that, sure.
players
okay.
won't feel lame that you're saving them or something because you're not. You're just giving
Well,
them their natural.
Yes, you
Okay.
are.
So first off, you're making the assumption that they're not going to think that it's lame that you're saving them at the crucial moments. First off,
Yeah.
you're making that assumption, and like maybe your players don't. Good for you. I'm glad
Yeah.
for you. I don't care if they do or if they don't. What I'm gonna say is that most people are gonna see this and go, "Oh, you hand of godded me."
Yeah.
Like, thanks, dude.
Yeah. Thanks for taking the meaning of my victory away.
Yeah, thanks for making
Yeah.
it so that your story matters more than my character. I appreciate that, dude. Really good. Anyway.
Yeah, so perhaps I am the children who are out of touch.
Okay.
The children.
No, but the children are wrong.
Yeah, fuck
But
children.
I am perfectly okay with my character dying
Yeah,
and biting off more than he can chew.
absolutely. It was my choice to get into that situation.
Dude, I went from a 23 AC paladin at level 10 to a warlock of AC 12.
Yeah, hell
And
yeah.
My HP is I think it was 56. It was like 75
Yeah.
for a level 7 paladin. It's now 56 for a level 10 warlock.
My dude, when I was playing Gimbal, I had an AC of 11. I never upped my AC at all. Because I was like,
Yeah,
why would Gimbal learn mage armor? Why would I learn dodge? Like, that's not part of the thing. I don't, like, and then, like, he had an HP of, like, 27, and we were at level 5. Like, it wasn't good. He was gonna die. He nearly got one-shot by a fucking earth elemental before I got to retire him. It was great. I was so ready. You know? Like, I don't care. That's the end of his story.
There almost comes a unique perspective of when your character is like barely clinging on to life.
Yeah.
And like he gets a big hit that you're like, send my sweet child home.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was like, if you kill him, that's kind of great. I don't know. I kind of like that idea. I don't know. It could be fun. I want to see how the other characters react and shit. Like, what happens after that? And if I live, even better. Whatever. Who cares? Like, it's gonna go on or it's not. That's just life.
How do they react to me dying or nearly dying or like living?
Yeah, there are so many outcomes. It's great.
And I guess I'll be the weird one. About that.
Sure.
because at least as the DM, I'll say it as the DM because I'm often the DM. The thing is, I think a lot of people kind of, I don't know if I would say unfairly, but I would definitely say that a lot of people put almost no thought to how the DM feels in that situation because, and I know that's going to sound weird at first, but allow me to elaborate. When you're about to die, and you're like, oh man, think of all the possibilities and stuff. Like, what's going to happen when they react? Like, how are they going to react? What's going to happen? What's my next character going to be? And stuff like that. That's all fine. That's a great mentality to have as a player. But if you've made a character and you're role playing the hell out of them, and I'm having a ton of fun running the character and seeing what they do and how they develop, I also get attached to the character. And so I think a lot of people never really consider that a DM might like your character just as much as you. And when you put all your time and effort into building the story of the character and their motivations and their desires and stuff, it kind of sucks when that character bites the dust due to, honestly, just shit die rolls. Because that is more the time when I will fudge. If something is happening, like you guys wandered into a dungeon and it's like above your pay grade, but you have to do it, or it's an epic death, whatever, that's fine. But if you're just having a shit day, you can't make any saves, and I keep rolling crits and stuff, I will probably take that crit down to a regular hit in effort to save you from what feels, at least to me, as your DM, an unfair and unearned death.
So yeah, and I can understand that, but that's why our mentalities are different. Where I don't see that as that case because that's just life, baby. You know?
Yeah. Oh, I know, and fair enough. And fair enough, because the thing is,
I understand that mentality.
Yes.
That does not mean I relate to it.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, fair enough. Then I'm happy that we can at least agree to disagree. That's fine.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, I admit freely that I am the DM who will fudge. However, you get one. You get one. So, like, if I keep rolling crits, because the thing is, if it's something that I don't want to happen, I will try once to stop it. If I really, really, really want to stop it, I will try. But if it keeps happening, then I'm like, okay, fate wants this to happen. You're dead.
Exactly. As long as you're not like actively like always trying, then you're fine.
No.
Exactly.
Like I admit that I fudge. I haven't fudged a die roll in Devils and Dice in, I want to say, probably 20 sessions.
Sure.
And I can't even remember the last one.
Sure.
Yeah. There comes a point where you have to let players take responsibility for their own actions.
Absolutely. And you will also, if you're doing something stupid, no fudging. None.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's just when I feel like undeserved. That's all.
Yeah, and that's fair. And that's your prerogative.
One of my favorite characters right now, actually, I feel comfortable enough just admitting probably my favorite character right now is our party's rogue. And
Boris.
and like, no, it's not related to the fact that it's my ex's character, like, or anything like that.
No, I was just thinking it was a rogue.
Yeah.
No, or yes, that I am edgy and it is a rogue.
Yeah.
No, like the reason why that is one of my like favorite characters I've ever seen is because there is so many jokes and meme material that result out of them being a bird. Like, birds are like. Can you tell whether a bird is male or female by looking at it?
Nope. Well, yes, actually, because
sometimes, yes.
Color.
Sometimes, yes. But like, look at a crow.
Yeah.
The crow is one of the examples, that you can.
And when it is a male crow with the voice of a 60-year-old woman, you're like, what to do? And
Yeah.
I get to have every single NPC that they interact with who does not know what Kenku are, and like Kenku are pretty rare in my world.
Mhm.
So most NPCs, I get to have most of my NPCs all have a little heart attack and not know how to gender this child standing before them, this child with like a walking armory at their hip, and go, huh.
What this? Why do Piranha Plant have bone in it?
Why does this child want beer but also sounds like an old lady? I don't know what to do. The two humans that are, I assume, the gay parents of this child are fine with them ordering a drink, so should I be fine with it? Or should I
Yeah.
refuse to sell it? I don't know what to do.
Sure.
And I get to do that for like most of my NPCs, and I am utterly in love with it.
Nice.
And when they were fighting a battle against some wolves, and they got downed, and they rolled their first death saving throw, and it was a failure. My like stomach dropped out from under me.
Sure.
Now, that's not to say that I'm like going to willingly cheat.
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, I hope the rest of the party like kind of pulls together and they're like decide amongst themselves, this bird who is our son, maybe, is not fucking dying.
Yeah.
And what they did was someone was already like very big using a rune. And they rushed over to the corpse of this little bird child, picked him up in one hand, and he's like, can I pick him up and just throw him? And I'm like, it's a bird child, and you are a giant right now. I will rule that even though it's not raw, it makes sense.
Yeah.
He's like, cool. Can I like as my round I pick up the child, pour a health potion down their throat, and like throw them into the bushes? And I'm like, you absolutely can. Because
Nice.
he did.
Yeah, okay, good.
And it was not it was like 2 damage from how they had landed, because I made them take 1d6 because they got flung.
Into a
Even
bush.
though
Yeah.
even though it was only like from a distance of like 6 feet up.
Bird.
Yes, small bird, hollow bones, crashing into dirt.
Wait, I thought it was didn't they say it was bush?
Yes, but bushes grow in dirt.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Ah,
the bush
fair
isn't
enough.
gonna stop most of the momentum from a fucking
Yeah.
giant.
It's true.
So I was like, I will allow that to be your turn to be both the use an object action of the potion and the use an object action of your ally. Because it makes sense for you. And I didn't want them to die, but because it's like my favorite character, but I'm at the same time, I'm like, whatever happens, man.
Yeah.
It's out of my hands.
That's not something where I would intervene either, because that's up to the characters. They're down.
Yep.
And now like I can't fudge and say like, oh, they wake up. That doesn't make any sense. That's completely fucking against the rules.
If the player is rolling death saving throws and they're like, I rolled an 8, I rolled a 7, I rolled a 6. I can't fudge that even if I wanted to.
Right.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you could, but it'd be stupid, and even I wouldn't do that as someone who admittedly fudges.
Most people
I would find that heavily distasteful.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Most people would.
I think the only way you could get away with that is if you're like, and honestly, people probably wouldn't like it, is if you were like somebody who has somebody within them, and they're like, hey, I can restart your heart if you fucking sign this contract. That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But Again, you know what I mean? Still.
Like, where they were was alongside a major, like, road and highway. And there were no travelers around at the moment, but they were going to show up at the beginning of round 5. Which, like, you think, oh, yay, like, combat's going to end and they can get help, maybe. The road went down round 2.
Yeah.
Like, Rogue can possibly die. And I would have not liked it, but
yeah,
such is life.
So a few things. I didn't see this before. Mog said, "How do you feel about big bad evil guy being like a raid boss having phases?" And I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, so
I'm fine with that.
That's what we were talking about before. When they get to a certain point.
If it's thematic for your BBEG and fitting, okay.
Yeah, go for it.
And
Sounds
also,
cool.
it's just like, how did you make your boss? Is this just how they are? Sure, fuck it, I don't care. Go for it.
Yeah. Maybe they try to fight in their human form.
Yeah.
And then, like, when it's clear that they're gonna get booty bopped if they continue, they go, okay, dragon form.
Right. Exactly. And then also, I remember the bloodied condition quite well. Every time an orc got bloodied, and I would get smacked and heal them. Fair.
Nice.
Steely says, that's a really cool insight. I hadn't thought about the GM's investment in the PCs much before. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Nobody
ever does.
Well, it's one of those.
No one usually does.
It's one of those. It's one of those things where it's like it's my character, you know. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Sure, you can be invested in it, but what does that matter in the end of the day?
Well,
See,
like,
exactly. See,
what is your investment next to it is me?
Yeah, it is quite literally me, right?
Like, well, it's like
here's the thing.
If a child dies in a car accident, yeah, you can have your sympathies. Yeah, you can have your condolences. But what you go through is nothing compared to the parents.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true. But I would what the hell is the word? Posit. There we go. I would posit just one phrase: cooperative storytelling.
Sure, and that's fine, but even so, like, it's one of those things where, like, I understand that, but at the same time, what are you gonna do, right? Like,
I can't do anything.
Exactly. Like, what is anyone gonna do? Like, cooperation ends when the character dies. Like,
unless
in
I
the sense,
fudge.
right? Exactly. Like, that's the thing. It's like, and at that point, it's like, I'd rather that not be the case personally, just because it's like,
I'd rather die.
Well, it's just one of those things where it's like, if the character's gonna die, the character's gonna die. You know, like. That's just
and again,
how
that's
it's
why
go
I
that
don't
day.
just fudge and fudge and fudge just to force the character to stay alive. That's not what I'm about.
And like, I can understand the idea of like, oh, I've put a lot of time into like making this thing for this character, and like now that's gone to waste. But it's also like, well, maybe it hasn't. I don't know. Maybe flavor things differently or figure out a different way for it to work or something. Yeah. And also like, I don't know, you can have that as an idea for the future for some other character. Like, it's never a waste. There's never a wasted thing. I don't ever think that that's ever, like,
like, in terms of DM creation?
Yeah, I don't ever think anything is wasted. Ever. Yeah. Like, it's always going to be there. Like, whenever somebody says, oh, it's going to be a waste of my shit, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, did you not make something that you can ever use again? Did you make it so inherently specific to this one thing that you can't make a way for it to work in any other situation ever?
Well, I made it so that Dis is gonna walk out of the fucking room wearing a feather boa with a 6-foot strap on. I can't fucking use that anywhere else, dude.
That's not true. That's not true. You could have a succubus do that as somebody's fetish. Don't you dare. I can find a way for you to work that in. Anyway.
Yeah, it's true.
But so yeah, Steely says, we used to have lovebirds that we raised from chicks, and we legit had to take them to a vet to find out their sex. Both male. There you go. Mog says, I'm fine with DM interventions. Sometimes bad shit just happens, and it's not time for that character's story to come to an end. We had a character that was attacked by a vampire a while back. They did end up dying many sessions later, and our DM had them come back as a Dhampir. It was a cool story element. And that's fine. So that's the thing.
Actually... Yeah.
You can do that. That's totally fair. At that point, they're not the character anymore. They're the DM's character, though. You know, like.
Well, I mean, unless they're not.
Well, so it depends, right? Like, because if they died and like you talk to your player, or they talk to their player, and they were like, okay, do you want to like come back as a Dampier? They go,
do you want to make a new character, or do you want to do this?
Right, exactly. In that case, like, sure. But if they just come back as a Dampier and that was just like, that's now the NPC, then it's like, that's not your character anymore. Like, that's
if it is the NPC, yes.
Right, exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
Anyway, maybe there's more to this. I don't know.
Who knows?
Abilities, then they would naturally awaken. After all, the world doesn't wait for them to stop playing at the end of the evening. No, they level up, then they go and get stuff. So that's how we'll be doing that from now on. And this creates all kinds of stories, all kinds of back and forths where players level up, then enemies level up, then maybe players level up again if it's that.
Oh my god, no. Okay, now we're too far. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah,
also, see you, Steely. Good to see you.
Bye, Steely.
Y'all, the baby bird I found died after 2 weeks. That sucks, Miscellaneous.
Oh.
Fair enough, though. It happens.
Yeah.
But no, okay. So once we start going back and forth, I'm like, what's the point even then?
Yeah,
right?
There's no point.
What are we doing here but going, hey, this doesn't matter at all. You're either going to win or you're going to win, right?
You're either gonna win or win really hard,
right? And if we start doing like, oh, they level up more than you, and they like, if you keep leveling your enemies up to, they will win, and it's like, oh, your epic moment is now gone, right?
You know
like,
what it is? It's Dragon Ball Z power levels.
It is, and it's stupid, and I hate that power creep. So don't fucking do that in your game.
Yeah, no,
please.
So I was typing out what I just essentially said to the rogue in my campaign.
Sure.
What did he say?
Oh, he was saying that he literally was just, oh, your character levels up, and then the enemy levels up, and then maybe your character levels up again, depending on the situation. And I'm like, no. So, yeah.
I should correct myself. She pointed something out to me, which is Sorrel is an owl, not a crow. I don't know why I said I was a crow. I think it's because I'm tired.
Okay,
yeah,
fair enough. Yeah, no, I feel that. I'm fucking... Power levels are stupid. Yes. They're fucking dumb.
Yeah, no,
it's a problem.
Not to mention, you only got 20 levels to fucking work with.
Yeah, exactly. If you're
not gonna spend 2 of those fucking levels in one goddamn
in the
combat.
Same fight. Like,
yeah. What is this, a fucking 10 sessions of nothing but one fight?
Like, again, he did give an example of, like, it's a multiple session thing, and I'm like, okay, first off, oh my god. I don't want to, I'm sorry. This is just me, I know that, and it's probably a bunch of other people, right? But I don't want to take a combat over two sessions at most. At most. If we go 3, okay, sure. Fine. And
that should only be in like the final battle.
Well,
and even then, too long.
I wouldn't say that. I would say maybe it happens on occasion just because we have scheduling conflicts and like we're really trying in this fight. Sure, fuck it. I don't care. That's fine. If we go 3 sessions, sure, I'll deal with it. But if we're going multiple sessions after that, or if we're going too long in sessions that like it's like, oh man, this is dragging. I do not care. And if we're trying to be so epic, quote unquote, when we're leveling in between each of these things, it's like, no, I'm not, it's not epic anymore. You're just making it so that I'm gaining like 10 HP every time when I'm about to die. And also now I have to then look at and do 2 levels now later, just because you wanted it to feel more epic.
Yeah.
And, like, again, if it works for your table, it works for your table. Fuck it, I don't care. But, man, I don't like this. And I will say that straight up. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I'm just not.
Yeah, no, I don't like it either. And I'm the one who fudges. And I don't like this. Because this is just way overboard. Sorry.
Right.
So what I actually have is not related to the video.
Okay.
It is just bird things.
Sure.
And
Okay.
she said, "I don't know how to sex him. I'm sorry." And I put in all caps. I'm like, "Neither do most people." And she's
Sure.
like, "I don't know if his owl penis like unfurls from his feathers. Let me just call my local Audubon." And I'm like, "Yeah, fair enough."
Okay.
Like literally, whether this child is male or female has been a long-standing debate. It's male on the character sheet. It's just
Should have done question mark.
60-year-old woman.
Sure. Yeah. Before I go, baby birds are really hard to take care of, especially because need very special feeding, exact temperature, and only from a specific side of the mouth. So it's understandable, miss. Okay, gone now. All right, see you, Steely. Thank you for that.
Also, relevant thing that I forgot about. They were being attacked by like wolves at the time, and wolves were attacking this downed Kenku.
Sure, yeah.
So like, had wolves continued to, or had it gone through the whole initiative count, and those wolves had gone, they would have bit this person and would have finished them off.
Sure, yeah, that's fine.
Literally, their only hope of survival was
Getting yeeted.
to be yeeted and quote inhale dirt.
And that, and that makes sense because it's just like wolves would go for the weakest target and kill it.
Yeah.
Like,
Poor bird can't fly, gets chucked, barely conscious, and absolutely just freaking inhales the dirt.
Right.
Like that, maybe. Not necessarily, but we have all kinds of opportunity now. But this is far from all of the uses. Sometimes they could level up immediately after the combat, because the next thing they'll be facing is the last room of the dungeon with the boss.
Okay, sure.
Or the queen, as they call it in my country. But indeed, they could be feeling out all their new powers outside of combat, but immediately between two combats, or just two stages of a combat. Maybe if the boss is shifting stages due to them destroying his or hers first body and the boss switching to a second body, you can have players level up then between stages where they're not in any specific danger. And another use is if you have a sort of martial arts or similar like that flavored campaign, after training they can level up. The sensei can tell them, "Great job, you have just achieved your
This is
next."
This is just a milestone. That's all that is. That's not a mod. That's not a leveling mid thing. Like, that's just a milestone system, my dude.
That's not A, that's I was gonna say not mid action. B, I would posit it does not have to be a martial combat heavy campaign.
Right.
To be they level up as a result of training.
Exactly.
In fact, I would say barbarian, a monk, a fighter, a paladin can all level up as a result of training.
Yeah. Wizards, fucking sorcerers, fucking rogues, anything.
Wizards and sorcerers, they're training just in a different way.
Yeah, it's all... Come on, man. You've made this thing, and now you're trying to attribute it to other things that are already a thing. Like...
Hey guys, I made this thing for D&D 5e. I call it the level system.
Oh.
Basically you get stronger and stronger as the campaign goes on.
Okay.
And to make it really easy for you guys, I numbered what you get at each level, 1 through 20.
Ah, thank you.
And if you want, there's even this really funky thing you can do where you can start leveling up like as a different class. I haven't gotten a name worked out for it yet.
Right. But we can have multiple classes, is what you're telling me.
That's fucking weird.
Multiple class.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe calling it. I don't
Gotcha.
know.
I think that's too many syllables. Get it
Right.
down to 2.
Yeah. Could you? Yeah. No. Get it
mul-
3.
Multiple ass.
No,
Yeah.
no,
That's
no,
it.
no.
Yeah. There it is.
No,
Okay.
yeah, no, not that.
Oh. I thought we were. Oh, okay. I thought we were all.
Yeah, no, I was dropping a syllable for multiple.
No, I know.
Okay.
Anyway.
Requisite, you can use it. That's one way of doing it, and that's indeed
Oh no.
one other way where it's sort of just outside of combat, but not really. And so
Sort
many
of
other
just
uses
outside
wait for you in
combat,
your play.
but not really. That's a sentence.
No, I didn't want to say anything.
Dude, I saw many non-combat uses,
Yeah.
and I got a feeling in my brain very similar to when I watch a Garibay video.
Okay.
And frankly, I'm just glad I got to experience it.
Okay.
Fair enough.
And I like this mod and found this unique. And if you did adventure,
Well,
maybe
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Unique.
That's it. Okay. We're good there.
Yeah.
No.
It
no,
is-
for
it
all the
is
reasons that we
unique.
said.
I doubt I will implement
It's-
it in any of my campaigns.
It's not
here.
unique. It's
Yeah.
like it's based off of other things. It is definitely something I've heard of before.
Whether soon or far into the future, I don't think it is for me.
No. Cool. Fuck. All right. Well.
I wish I had something like some brief bit of like levity to give. I tried to deliver levity already with the whole bird thing,
Sure.
and then like it didn't work out. Now I'm just sitting here like, oh,
This fucking like
this.
I'll
You
be
know what? He's introduced levity for me.
sure. So exactly like it's Mox says, so for this game, please kindly have 20 version of your character, just at different levels, so you can level up on the fly. You only have to put in a ton of work ahead of time.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, okay.
I thought at first he was going to be like with the whole anything dramatic or whatever.
Right.
I thought he was going to go for, yeah, they could level up in the middle of a social encounter when someone says like something really funny or epic or something.
That would be stupid.
And I like was preparing to shit.
Right.
Basically, imagine inspiration, but if inspiration was just a fucking level up.
Yeah, a
Right.
fucking level
Yeah,
up.
exactly. No, okay. So this, unfortunately, this woke me up more. Because I was not at the end. It was like, oh hey, guess what? You're awake
Yeah.
now. My fucking throat hurts. But so okay, I just want to reiterate that this is not much of a mod, quote unquote.
It's
or
really
a,
not.
or a homebrew, quote unquote.
I would consider it a homebrew.
I would.
It's homebrew,
I would.
yes.
So sorry.
Rarely it is a homebrew.
It is a homebrew, yes, in definition, absolutely. What I'm going to say is it doesn't add much because it's taking something that's already implemented as well and just saying that it's a part of it, right?
You know what? Just out of spite, I will implement this homebrew rule.
Okay.
It'll never become relevant,
Right.
but it is now in my campaign.
Exactly. There's no there's no use for this because I can again say you guys level up before you get to this big fight. Yeah. That way you have more of that grandiose feeling of having that level and hey, guess what? We're getting to that fight. But you don't know that. And so it's a surprise to you. So then it becomes, oh, I can use all my new stuff against this big thing. Right? Like how is that? And I dare to use the word less satisfying than during the fight. While you are getting beaten the fuck up by this thing that is too strong, you then level up and get new powers in the very middle of it that you maybe don't know how they work.
So,
And then as soon as you get leveled up, you just get punched again.
Yeah, and then you get punched again and die.
There's a saying in I don't know if it's in Dark Souls. I don't remember, but I know it's in Bloodborne.
You sound
That
very far
wa-
away, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I
Yeah.
moved a bit farther away.
Okay, you got
There is a saying. I don't know if it's in Dark Souls, but I know it's in Bloodborne. That like when you suspect like a trap or something, you will use reeks of and then just put trap.
right.
So because of that, I sort of have adopted saying reeks of.
Sure.
In this, like this video, I feel is the result of a player that like reeks of fear of failure. Like I need to be strong enough. I need to save the day with this character.
Sure.
I can't let them die. I'm petrified.
Sure.
And then the DM just going, fine, level up, and then and then doing that so many times
Right.
that he convinces himself it's a good idea.
It's because they're having fun.
Yeah.
Which again, good, great for you. I'm glad. I don't. It's just, it seems antithetical to the feeling that you're trying to evoke.
I
It
just want
really
to
does.
level you guys up in the middle of a combat just to fuck you up.
I swear to
just
God.
to fuck with
If you do that, Brogan will immediately go, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, right. And then I'll say, "No, I'm serious," and they'll be like,
No, I will refuse it.
Oh, I know.
If you leveled me up in combat, like I would refuse it.
Yeah.
However,
Okay.
I would like applaud you because it's a good bit.
It's a good bit. It is a good bit. But man.
But now that I've said this, I can't.
Yeah.
I know, now
So-
you can't.
Fantastic bit. Never do it again, please.
Yeah, no,
Exactly.
never. Thanks, I hate it.
Yes.
Exactly. Like that will be my response of, wow, good bit. Never do that again.
Yeah, right?
Otherwise, I will do like Alejo and I will refuse to look.
It's basically when I was like, ooh, in the last section.
So anyway, as much as it woke me up, I cannot continue. My fucking throat hurts so bad.
That is okay.
So what we're gonna do is just go through the ending little shoutouts and shill because it didn't do it before because we did. I thought we would maybe not take so much time on a 7-minute video.
Yeah.
But it never turns out that way. And I really should think. But regardless, so thank you everybody for hanging out and watching, and especially thank you to everybody who subbed and liked and commented, and also of course our patrons who help bring this to you via donating money to the Patreon. It's fucking ridiculous. Thank you. So that being said, that is these are our patrons. First up we have Draco Kraken at that tier 3. Thank you so much. Mog Zero, who's been in the chat hanging out, also at that tier 3. Thank you as well.
Flipping tables.
Yes, flipping them tables. All them gold tables. Slazer, also at tier 3, was in the chat for a while. Steely also visited and is at that tier 3, flipping them fucking tables like a boss that he gets kicked out of the Discord every now and again.
Our original donator.
Indeed. And then of course,
Patient Zero, one might say.
yeah. Then Drake Cross also in there, but at tier 2, holding that line. And then we have Chris at tier 1. Thank you. Frozen Spaghetti at tier 1. Thank you as well. Kill Chrono at tier 1. Thank you. And finally, Polyhedral at tier 1. Thank you so much. Very much appreciate it, all of you. And if you want to, you can also join the Patreon at patreon.com/tabletalkdnd. Don't feel like you're obligated to, only do it if you want to and you are financially able to.
Only do
please.
it if you want us to survive.
Yes.
It is I will
for
say
For purposes of not being a scumbag, that is a joke.
I will say it is satisfying to see that people are willing to pay for the entertainment that we provide. That is that right. It is satisfying, but it is definitely not necessary. So thank you for your patronage, of choosing to do so.
Or
We also
one would say your Patreon. Oh God, I was gonna say Patreonage. I hate it.
right, but that's what patronage. Yeah, that's
I
they
know.
are
I know.
patrons.
It's
Yeah.
why, in fact, it's called Patreon.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Don't you dare steal that Lorehammer bit where they just say that everybody's a Patreon.
Oh, dude. Oh God.
Yeah, that was.
I didn't hear any of the episodes where they said that.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, yeah. No, I'm almost done with it. Actually, I'm like almost up to date.
Damn.
Yeah,
I
I'm
was
fucking
on
committed.
episode. Oh, God.
But anyway, other than
They were talking about, I think it was like the lesser known xenospecies.
oh yeah, those are so good.
Aiden,
That's so
let
far
Alejo
away.
sleep, you bastard.
Regardless, there's some other comments to look at. Hold up.
Oh shit. Never mind.
By comments, I mean in the chat. Mug says, I feel like you can use other methods other than leveling up mid-combat. You can petition to a higher power or maybe a divine intervention. NPC co-op happens or sorry, coup happens or help comes in to your aid. And yeah, if you're particularly faithful, you could potentially call upon your god for a divine intervention. That is totally fair.
And then God comes down and fucking suplexes him.
Well, no, he sends an angel to come down and suplex him.
Unless it's South Park. Then he has an AK-47.
Right, exactly. Level 1 D's, level 2 Stigma, level 3 Parody, level 4 Ligma, level 5 Sugma, level 6 Candace, level 7 Bofa, level 8 Gulpin, level 9 Europe, 10 Dixon, 11 Fitness, 12 Opdog, 13 Duma, 14 1 a Pound, 15 Imagine Dragons, 16 Slobonies, 17 Ligandi, 18 1 a Pound. You did that twice. And 19 Plant Tulips and 20 Cupma. There you go. Yep,
Nice.
I set them all for you. You can use them as you will. Okay.
All right, guys, when are we making this a class?
Yeah, right?
I propose it is called the Meme Lord.
Right. I hate it. But yes, so thank you very much for hanging out with us. This is the end. If you want to catch us live, it's Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then again as a VOD on Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then again on Mondays as an audio-only thing on your podcasting service of choice around noon on Mondays at Eastern Standard Time. And Devils and Dice will come back at some point once we are done with our Pathfinder 2e campaign that we've been just hanging out and doing because we've been taking a break.
Once Boo stops lazing about.
But it's been fun, and we'll have some more
And I get
stories.
to play
Yeah, and it's great.
and die.
True. But we'll have more stories about that in the future. So tune in for that as well. You can hear that my voice is starting to die. So that's gonna be it. Oh, you didn't do it twice. One is 14 and one is 18. It's the same. What do you mean? 1 a pound and 1 a pound. It's the same. Anyway, so we're gonna go. Thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you next week. And fucking join the Discord and join the Twitter so you get informed. Okay,
Yes.
Cool. It'll be in
At
the
least
description
until we
of the
can do
VOD.
community posts. Then
Yes.
those will be obsolete.
Yeah, no, but also get us to 1,000 so we can do community posts so that people can see on fucking YouTube who don't fucking join the Discord or follow the Twitter. Oh my god. Anyway,
Bye now.
bye.
Why?
Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye now.
Oh, my voice.